What's up, everybody? Good evening. We are live here at Catch Table and Tap. This is Braggs in the stands. I'm your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, my guy Trae Tunes, Justin Lee from Bad Guy Radio, my guy Ian. Ian in the house. He took a long trip to come on out here. So we're going to be doing a live show here at Catch Table and Tap here in Merrillville, Indiana. Ozzie Guillen doing a live signing meet and greet. So if you're in the area, Northwest Indiana, on Route US 30, you can come on down, hang out with us. Got a DJ inside. Ozzie Guillen going to be signing autographs in just a few minutes. Collector's Cave always puts on the great events. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're waiting on some of the late arrivals. Our guy Ray and Trae, they're on their way. And that was the best rhyme scheme I think I'll do tonight.
How could you describe their tardiness?
I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. Ray's already thrown his wife under the bus for it. He's like, oh, waiting on my wife. You know, it's like, yeah, naturally. So we got some people in the house, some supporters. Our girl Asia, she's the trooper.
I love you, here. Baby.
We'll get to Asia later and some of the
stop
stuff.
Playing with me, man. You
we,
think this is
we
a
don't,
game?
We don't need to get off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
We're here for Sox Talk. Hey, we got a White Sox winner today. They're 11-8 in the month of May. So they're turning the corner. I mean, Justin, you've got your blackout shy podcast and some motorcycles ripping it up here behind us. The White Sox, are they starting to turn the corner, or are you going to bite your lip and wait to see a little more from them?
I'm not biting a goddamn thing. Let me tell you something, Greg. Yohan Moncada came back off the DL, and he's been the best player in franchise history, like I expected him to. Anytime Pedro Grafal can pencil in a talent like Yohan Moncada in the cleanup role, we're going to win a lot of ball games. So I'm not even surprised at this point. I was just waiting until the boys could get back healthy and get back to playing some good baseball.
Right, and you still got Liam Hendricks, you know, coming back from.
There's Ray.
There's Ray. Oh, there he is.
Put your seatbelt on.
He's driving a Kia.
I'm gonna call the Kia boys. Hey, get them Kia boys over here.
But no, like we were saying, you still got Liam Hendricks coming back. And bullpen has been one of the bigger issues, and now you get your top line closer coming back that's going to push everyone down. Ronaldo Lopez will get back in his natural spot. Kendall Graveman. Exactly. You're even seeing the guy you got from the Dodgers, that's got the frown face.
Yeah, Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly. Really?
He pitches once a week.
He's starting to pitch a little better, though, isn't he?
He's like a deadbeat dad. Like, you see him once a week. The performance is meh. Like, I mean, yeah. That's basically how you sum up Joe Kelly. Like, you signed a contract with a guy who agreed not to pitch back-to-back days. You throw 10 pitches a fucking week, Joe Kelly.
Well, hey, like I said, turning the corner, 11-8 now. Baby steps for the Chicago White Sox, but you'll take it. White Sox winner today. Ian, we appreciate you coming 2 hours.
That's what she said.
Out of your way. Yes, that is. She's been saying a lot here while we got prepped for this show.
I don't think she's usually that appreciative, actually.
She's being very vocal. Ray's in the house. He's got this beautiful smile as he walks up with his beautiful wife. How are you? Yes, we're the guys that are always in the spaces that Ray's got to put up with. But Ian, you came 2 hours all the way here. We appreciate your support. So your thoughts on the Chicago White Sox and what they've been up to here in the month of May.
I mean, I'm happy to be here. This is awesome. And, long-ass drive, but hey, whatever.
Are you scared to be on the mic right now? Are you nervous? Because you're in spaces with us on Twitter every night, chopping it up. But this may be your first time getting on a live show on a podcast. Are you nervous at all?
No, microphone is kind of my element. I love mics.
Something close to his mouth.
Yeah,
color me surprised.
I'll try my best not to put it in there, but we'll just keep it right about right here. It's the closest I'll get.
Yeah, no,
but, I'm not going to go all the
we
way.
said from the start that Justin was going to do everything he can to get me canceled tonight. He probably will succeed, and that's fine. Trae,
if he doesn't, I will.
Trae's trying to make sure he's, trying to produce and co-host here. Trae Tunes, my good friend, works really hard on this stuff. We're back at it, Trae. It's been a minute since we did a live show.
This is true. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
How long has it been?
Have you missed me?
I miss you,
That's how we
man.
all
Live with it, live
Yeah.
without it.
Right.
So, well, we're going to be having some fun here tonight. We're going to talk about the White Sox, obviously, with Ozzie Guillen in the house. Hopefully, we can peer pressure him to come on. There's a chance his son will be here. Maybe we'll peer pressure him to come on. Your co-host on your podcast.
Yeah,
Maybe
I love those
give a plug to your podcast while we get rolling.
Well, I am a co-host on the Blackout Show. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, even Google Podcasts. And basically, it's a White Sox recap show. We go through the whole week from Tuesday to Tuesday. I got my boy Gonzo, Ozzie Guillen Jr., as we mentioned before, and Slavko Pekovic, who just left NBC Sports to pursue a job with Big Ten. So congratulations, Slav. I'm proud of you. But yeah, we just recapped the Sox, and they've been absolutely terrible. And to have some of these people talking on these podcasts the last 2 months with the White Sox has been fucking depressing. I'm not gonna lie, it's been depressing. Like, I would rather listen to Greg snore than listen to a 3-1 White Sox loss recap on any of these platforms. So you can check us out on Apple and Spotify. Like I said, the Blackout Shot. Catch us on Twitter. Trust me, you probably already got me blocked.
I would rather listen to the whole minute and a half of Greg going at it.
Whoa.
Than that.
Going at it?
Yeah, I'd
Going
rather-
at it with who? Or with what?
Whoever.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Ian. Ian, why don't we let Ray hop on? We're going to do
No,
the
Trey wants me to take
Trey's already running off stage?
He wants to
All
go.
right, Trey, go ahead. Check the producer. He's doing the producer role. Come on over here. Our guy Ray lives in the region.
I do.
Yes, he does. He does good work. Cutting hair. He's a good barber.
He's a
and
regionist.
a good man, a better man. So, how we doing tonight, Ray?
I'm doing good. I just left the block. I work down the street, probably like 2 minutes away.
Okay.
And,
What's
maybe 3.
you want to give it a plug
Oh,
to your
Denmark
business?
College. Denmark College is where I teach
Okay.
barbering for young, aspiring people who want to be barbers. We have a Cosmo clinic or Cosmo school, and we also have a medical assistant. So if you are interested in any of those 3 career fields, come down to Denmark College right here on I-30, 8101 Polo Club Road. And
How many students do you have under you?
holy crap. Well, like I have myself underneath me right now. It's probably like
I
40,
have myself
41.
underneath me.
40 students
Yeah.
that you got to make sure ain't messing
Pause.
up people's hair.
Right. Yeah, every day.
What is the craziest story you can share with us
Wow.
from one of your students?
Oh, well, I don't have a story about what they've done. I've seen it live and in person where somebody probably got the worst haircut of their life, and my student said that it was the best haircut they ever given. And so it was one of those things. It was terrible. It was a terrible freaking
You
haircut.
just shave it all off at that
Yeah,
point.
at that point, it said, like, I don't know how to save this. Like, my job is, like, let you go, figure out how to do it, and then if you mess it up, I got to fix it so they can be happy when they walk away. But there was no fixing this one.
See, I had a friend show me the light finally one day, and he's like, Braggs, you got to stop going to a salon. All respect to salons, but you got to find yourself a barber. If you don't have a good barber, you ain't shit.
This is true.
And so I finally found my guy. It took me a long time going through different barbers.
you met his man.
And yeah, you really do. You got to
You got to
find
find
your.
them. And then you got to stay
find your
loyal.
match.
You got to stay
And
loyal.
I stay loyal. I will not get my hair cut by anybody but
True
my
story.
guy Isaiah. I'm loyal to Isaiah.
Isaiah is the guy
And
there.
so, exactly. But the first time he ever cut my hair, he gave me. I asked for a bald fade. I wanted a bald fade.
Yes.
And I didn't exactly know what that meant.
You trying to look
And
like
I
Private
came-
File?
I came home and I was like, this dude ripped my head up. I was like, what just happened? Jenny was like, what did he do to your hair?
Jenny
And I was
said,
like,
"What
Jenny,
is this?"
let me tell you. I was like, I asked for the wrong cut, but he did it perfectly.
That,
And
exactly.
that's how I knew, like,
looking like
he
Paul
didn't
Wall,
mess up my
yeah.
hair. I messed up my hair.
I asked for
I
the
took
wrong thing.
full responsibility.
Kind of like Ian's barber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Kind of like Ian's barber. Ian's barber just said, you
You
know
got
what?
that Mitch McConnell going.
Ian was like, hey, could you cut my hair blindfolded? I kind of want to.
Mine learned in prison.
Ian said, I got to get on the camera, make me look like a Republican.
Yeah. I need to look like, yeah, exactly.
I want to look as politician as
There
possible.
you go. There you go. Man, this is great, Greg.
Yeah.
This is wonderful,
No, it's a
bro.
lot of fun. Catch 22, catch table and tap. I should
Catch
say.
table and tap.
Used to be catch 22, but yeah, Collectors Cave puts on a great event. They're going to be inside. Ozzie Guillen here showing up in just a few moments. You got Trae doing the video game.
There it is.
And yeah, we got a DJ inside. Good food, good eats, good drinks. Got Lakers and Nuggets coming up here in a
Very
little bit.
good drinks.
White Sox win.
The White Sox won.
Cubs lose.
Yes, they did. Hey, White Sox fans, guess what?
White Sox
That's what
are
I'm talking
rolling
about.
right
I was
now.
there last night. We almost had a shutout, but the person in 159 said, "Hey, is he really pitching a perfect game right now?" 2 hitters later, base hit.
Base
He
hit.
kicked him
Should've
out.
got their ass
He's
thrown
got to.
out.
He's got to get out of here.
All right.
He had to go.
No joke. Last year, Justin was at a no hitter,
Yeah.
and in the bottom of the ninth, I'm texting him like jinxing him with 1 out to go,
He's not lying.
and he gave up a hit
It's such
with
a piece
1
of
out to
shit.
go. It was the greatest
Let-
jinx I've ever
Let
pulled.
me tell you something. There's nothing more demoralizing when you're unconsciously drunk walking around the concourse while Dylan Cease got a no-no going and you're getting your phone blew up by Greg Bragg.
Yeah, this was last year, and this year, this guy in 159, I don't even know who he is. He said, "Hey, is he really shoot? Is he got a perfect game going?" Ah, there it is.
See,
You should have kicked him in the nuts.
It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough because I'm a Cub fan, but I want you guys. You guys are my friends. I want to see
Yeah.
you guys
Here
happy.
you go with
You
the
wanna see-
charity.
But,
You
at
wanna
the,
see you happy
but
too.
at the same
He's a
time, I
liar.
also enjoy your
Liar.
misery.
You could probably only
So
be happy
it's-
whenever
it's
G
hard.
Smiley pitches or whenever freaking. Well, I'm not gonna say it in front of Justin, but the other guy who's the ace.
No,
when he
you can
pitches.
say it.
No, I don't
You
wanna
can say it.
Justin has an issue with Stroh, so I don't really like bringing
Okay,
Stroh up
okay.
around Justin
You
because
two
he
got
has an
beef?
issue.
You two got beef. He blocked you, right, on Twitter.
Yeah.
But one of the many people that
You know-
have you blocked on Twitter.
I went on Urban Dictionary and I found out something about myself, and it surprised me. Apparently, I'm dwarfophobic, so that's where all of my Marcus Stroman
You got
angst
a lot
come
of
from.
phobics. You got a lot of phobics.
I am.
That's what we.
I'm
learned.
American. It's my
Well,
favorite
you
thing
know,
about
and
me.
you're young. You're growing. You know, you'll learn. As
How do
get
you know I'm
older.
a grower?
I
You know,
can't-
well,
I can't
not a
deal
shower.
with- I
You
can't
know,
deal
so
with Justin, man.
we just gotta,
Oh
know,
my God,
it's
my
baby
nephew is
steps.
crazy.
And when you get older, you'll look back and go, hey, I didn't have it all right. I didn't have it all wrong. But you get by. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate that, Greg.
Yeah.
You're gonna
You got
co-sign
a
my
beautiful,
eulogy.
you got a beautiful girl. Maybe one day you'll settle down, put a ring on her finger. I'm not
Are
trying
you
to put
are
on
you
the
asking me
spot.
to marry somebody I love, Greg?
Yes, I am. I mean, I want you to make good decisions.
Good luck.
So, I mean, we know how endeared to my heart she is. I mean, she's a good person. She's a good person. You guys came out to the CHGO draft party
Uh-huh.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was so appreciative. And we all know. Yeah, and we all know. We all know that she's top line
She is.
with her cookies and cake.
Cookies and cake, and if you really
Amazing.
want to get some, check out her Twitter.
Hold on, you're not gonna sit here and talk about my girlfriend's cakes in front of me.
I want to talk about her
She's got the
cookies,
best
not her
cake.
cakes.
She's got the best cake.
It's
Yeah.
the cornbread, Greg.
It's the cookies that we're talking about right now.
Yes,
The cookies that's been going
Stop
crazy.
playing. Hey, y'all play too much.
She has really. How many cookie orders did you wrap up?
I'm not finna talk about my sweets on Brags in the stands.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll get to
you
it
know
later.
what?
We'll get to
we're
it
gonna
later.
plug
Oh,
this.
she's
cookie.
taking orders for Memorial Day too. Just
There you
in
go.
case you guys are asking.
There you go. Bro,
Yes, the official
she
sponsor.
does her thing, like legit. Like I saw those cookies that she did for the Bears, and the draft parties went crazy. The Sox have been going crazy. Other teams have been going crazy. So shout out to Asia for doing her thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's doing great. She's doing great. And
Yeah.
so, hey, we're here, like I said, at Catch Table and Tap Collectors Cave event. A month from now, they're going to have another White Sox event with Aaron Rowan
Oh, I like
Really?
that.
at
I love
Buffalo Wings
Aaron.
and Rings in Chicago, Illinois. We will most likely be live for that event as well. So if you're trying to get tickets, go to www.thecollectorscave.com and you can get tickets and get an autograph, a little meet and greet, get a picture, and bring the family. It's a family event, even though our show may not be always family friendly.
Sometimes this
What
show,
surprises
I would
me-
like have a
What's the-
moment of clarity, like a drunk, like when they have a moment of clarity where you're like, okay, you know what? Here's the moment, right, where we need to be real, like tie up, suit jacket on, be professional. And then there are other times where it's like, man, fuck it, let's just go all out. You know?
Right.
I love your show.
If you would have told me it was a family event, I would have stopped like 6 drinks ago. So,
well,
you know,
all I know
my
is,
bad.
I'm glad to see my friend Ian. This is the first time I'm seeing my guy Ian
Hell yeah, man.
in life.
Say,
And
life.
this is what's
Here
up,
he
man.
is.
Ian came all
Live
the way
and in color.
2 hours.
You know it.
Ian
Got
is
a red
here.
hair.
Yeah.
2 hours, a lot of red
and
hair.
he really does not
Freckles.
look like a serial killer in person.
That's not
Thank
true.
you. That's good. I can hide the red hair in pictures. I just get the right angle. I look more dark
What
hair.
did you say, John Wayne Gacy? I
John-
mean,
He scared me when I was
I mean,
little.
you're just going for the
I think
first
I'm-
fat
I-
serial
I-
killer
I-
you could think of.
I am most definitely the oldest up here on this panel.
yeah.
And John Wayne Gacy scared me as a child. We were told like
He had
horror
good taste in
stories.
music.
They were told us like, watch out for panel vans. Clowns are scary. If you see a clown, he wants to give you candy, run away. All kind of shit like that. It was scary. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Southside Chicago was crazy when John Wayne Gacy was around. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
You got to be careful in them streets, especially when Ian's in them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know.
You
Can
know.
you imagine trying to kidnap Greg? Like first you gotta
It'd
have
be easy.
you gotta find a net to fucking
You
pit
have
him.
candy, you got me.
If you
If you got chicken nuggets, you got them.
exactly.
Nuggets,
If
yeah.
you're trying to kidnap Greg and you got a Ford Focus, you're cooked. You
Yeah.
better get a trailer.
You gotta get a
You
trailer.
better have a bigger boat.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to see you, Trae. Trae's off camera, but it's good to see my boy Trae. This
Love
is the
being out here
third,
with
fourth
Trae.
time seeing Trae in person. Like, this is my guy, Trae Toombs over here. Like, the co-host of Brags in the Stand. So I got to give a shout out to him while I had the opportunity. He gave me the mic, but it is what it
we're
is.
gonna change it up.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna flip it around. Have different. Trey doesn't care. Trey's like, just
He
feed
said-
me drinks. I
He
did.
said we're
I
way
did-
more interested.
But no,
Lies.
don't you dare,
Those are
Trey. You
lies.
are on this show too. You're not getting off that easy. And don't you dare say that's what she said, because we'd be setting a record.
That's what
for
she
that
said.
amount of. That's what she said here tonight.
Yeah, you can't.
Can y'all believe Greg is like halfway important? Like when I first met Greg, I was like, okay, he's regular regionalist. Okay, I can go out and have a drink with him. I can say the F word and some other curse words.
Right.
But then I get here and he's got cameras. He got people
this is pretty
smiling.
nice.
We do it. We
No,
do
Greg
it
is
up
doing a
big.
great
How
job
we
with
doing
this one.
today? Have a good night, guys. Ozzie Guillen's in the house.
Yeah.
South
We'll be out here
Side.
talking all
Yeah.
night long.
That's
If you
what
want
I'm
to hear
talking
the
about.
banter, you know where to find us. So
Yeah, this is
as
nice.
we got Sox fans starting
Sox
to
fans
line
are
up.
coming in. Hey, Sox won today.
The Sox
Yeah.
won today.
Yeah.
Fuck
You
the
don't look
Royals.
excited enough, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's a Sox fan. I think he's with the Sox fan.
He's definitely
He's
outkicked
with his
his
Sox fans.
coverage. That's all I know. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He's gonna fuck you up. Do you think he really meant that? The acting's gonna clear up, I swear.
I'll just, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I got a big mouth.
Is that guy still messaging you? You said you were seeing someone.
Making compliments, jeez. You know,
Hey, man, he's I can't even get it out. Like, she's out of your league. Like, way out. And you were like walking in, like, every guy, like,
just call it like we see it around here.
Yeah, if I was with somebody like that, I'd be real quiet too.
Yeah, you probably would
You
be.
just put
Babe, is it okay if I talk? Can I talk?
Can I speak now, baby?
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Can I untuck myself
I'm
real quick?
sorry.
Is that
Mistress,
okay
Can I
too?
speak?
Can you
Yeah.
making eye contact with somebody that
That's
doesn't
terrifying. When Ian looked, I didn't. We only talked about space, so we don't have to look him in the eye. That was scary.
That was kind of scary. I saw it. Yeah. Ian is he's that guy.
Like I said, like a few drinks in too.
Oh, so
Normally
And a
worse.
shot, and a shot.
Junior's coming in with his
I don't
dad?
know who Junior is.
Yeah, where is
Okay.
Junior? So we got a group. We call them the Scumbags.
Yeah.
We're on Spaces on Twitter.
Definitely every day.
If you're not on Twitter,
Thank you, Elon.
you're probably better off.
Yeah,
but if
shout
you
out to
are
you.
on Twitter, when we do Spaces where everyone just kind of congregates and talks, Ray kind of put this together
Appreciate
last
it.
year. We called it the juke. He calls it the juke joint.
Yeah, that's
We'd all come
that's
in
my
there and just kind of talk about anything, life, sports, make fun of the White Sox, Cubs, whatever, argue about the Bears endlessly, and it's kind of created this community of friends. And so we're all kind of meeting each other for the first time, some of us, tonight. So it's an exciting night. And for that regard, it's an exciting night for White Sox fans. So we're just trying to put on a good show for everybody that wants to hang out outside while the music's going on inside. And Ozzie Guillen signing autographs. Are you excited? Have you
I'm
ever
pretty
met
excited.
Ozzie Guillen?
I've never met him in person, but I'm excited to meet him tonight. I can't wait.
He's a grinder. He
Yeah,
is
he
a
is a
grinder.
grinder.
I was telling Trae, what's up, little man? You trying to grab a mic?
Hey, what's up,
this
man?
kid's
Oh,
got
you want
some
to say what's up?
confidence.
What's
he
up,
said
buddy?
yes.
Come on
This
in
kid's got
here.
some confidence.
What's up, man?
Come on in.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? How we doing?
Go
What's
White
your name?
Sox.
What's your name, young man?
Cooper? Yeah.
Nice. That's
Shout out to Cooper.
That's a baseball name. Here,
Yeah.
hop on up here. Hop
Yeah,
on up
hey,
here.
Cooper. Do you play baseball?
Yeah.
What position do you play?
I get whole time while I kick a ball with
Kick the ball. So you playing soccer while they're playing baseball, huh?
Yeah, that's not.
You
Yeah.
gotta make your own rules, huh?
Yeah.
You like the outfield or the infield?
Infield.
Who's your favorite baseball player? You got one yet?
Yeah. It's Daddy.
Oh! Dad, shout out to Dad. Dad is
That's a good
Dad
son.
is
That's a
Triple
good
OG,
son. That's a good
Papa.
son.
Yeah,
Cooper,
I love
that's
it.
a heartwarming thing there.
Shout out to Dad.
He's
Hey,
teaching you how to play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You enjoying it?
Got to get him on the infield now, Dad. You can't let him go into the outfield. He has to play one of them four. Oh, gonna be a pitcher.
Playing-
Okay, there it is.
Playing some t-ball?
Get him a good changeup, Dad.
This guy's a pitcher. What he was when he was younger.
Hey.
He was.
Hey, Cooper,
Yeah.
you don't like them Cubs, do you?
Yeah.
Oh! Are you just saying yeah to everything at this point now? I think
No.
that maybe you're nervous. Maybe just saying yeah to everything.
We're gonna have to email HR, Cooper.
How about this? More importantly, are you a Bears fan? You like football?
Yeah.
Yeah? You like Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Bears are going to do good this year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Just firing them off. Hey, I like that. Short and
5
sweet.
wins. Let's
If
go.
I ask Justin a question, it takes him like 8 minutes to answer. Cooper, straight to the point.
I'm a
That's what I
rambler,
like.
Cooper.
I'm a rambler too, so I ain't got. Trey's like, what are you talking about, Greg? I don't know how to be quiet. But Cooper, we appreciate you coming up. Don't be a stranger. Feel free to come up anytime all night long. You excited to meet Ozzie Guillen tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Give him a high five. All right.
He wants to
me a
give you
high
one.
five.
There it
Give me a
is.
high five.
There it
Hey,
is.
shout out to Cooper. Shout out to Dad.
Yeah.
You guys going in
Hey.
now to get the autograph? All right. Tell
Great job,
Ozzie.
Dad.
Tell Ozzie to get out here. We want to talk to him. So
We want to
all right,
have
go
a
on,
word,
wait.
man.
We'll see you in a little bit, Cooper. Have fun
later,
meeting
Cooper.
Ozzie. No,
Oh, no problem, no
absolutely.
problem.
Thank
Outstanding,
you.
yeah.
Give it up for Cooper.
Shout out to Cooper.
Hey,
Yeah, he was
hey.
easily the best one on the mic.
Give
Yeah.
my boy Coop.
Yeah. He's leaving. He's like, these
Give
guys
my boy-
scare me.
Give my boy Coop.
I would say, like I was saying, when it comes to Ozzie Guillen, I can be unbiased when I say this. I honestly feel like he is one of Chicago's greatest stories.
No, absolutely.
I mean, you talk about a guy that was a legend even before he managed the first World Series champions of either side of town of baseball. When he was a player, he was a grinder shortstop. He
was one of
represented
my favorite players ever.
everything about Chicago. Well, on a team that had Frank Thomas,
Yeah.
Bo Jackson,
Yeah.
Robin Ventura.
Robin Vincent,
Albert Bell.
Blackjack McDowell.
Yeah. Bo
I mean,
Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, they had stars.
Lance Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes.
One
yeah,
dog,
Lance
one
Johnson,
dog
Joe.
Johnson, Ray Durham. So Ozzie Guillen kind of epitomized Chicago in so
Yes,
many
and
ways.
he embraced
He
coming here.
had the batting helmet that he never changed his whole career.
Yeah.
Had scuffs all over it.
He loved
you know,
A
baseball.
lot of dandruff.
One of the toughest guys. Like it felt like you couldn't strike this dude.
No,
out.
he was amazing. Watching Ozzie growing up was like that. He helped turn me into a full time
This is my
White
song
Sox
right
fan
here.
because at the same time, in Chicago growing up in the '80s, we had WGN and all we could watch was freaking Cubs games,
Right.
and every now and again we'd catch Sox games on Fox. So it was like, holy shit! There's a guy. He's bringing Frank Thomas and all the other guys along when the Sox start winning.
Right.
WGN started showing more. It was like, okay, this is great. Now I became a full-time Southsider. Plus, I went and saw them play more than I saw the Northsider, so I became a White Sox fan. Even though there are some guys that are near and dear to my heart that wore blue-white pinstripes. You know?
No, and
Yeah, they are. There are some guys.
these two are a little too young to have seen Ozzie
No, I'm not
Guillen
gonna say
play.
that. No,
But
I
they
saw
were
him play.
sick.
Let's not
I'm
talk
not
about
sick.
that.
No,
Please.
legit. I like you know
No.
you know who it is.
Liquor.
Sean Dunston. Yeah, you know who Sean Dunston is. The Hawk. You know who that is?
The most overrated MVP. In
Oh my
league
God.
history.
Okay, now
Calm
you're
down.
good.
Calm
That's
down.
terrible.
You want to open this can?
Don't open this can.
You know what I
Over
love
this
about Ozzie? I'm from Michigan, and as soon as I mentioned seeing Ozzie tonight, my dad goes, "You couldn't pay me to see Ozzie." I hate Ozzie being a Tigers fan.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
like, yeah, exactly, you do, because we were whooping your ass.
Yeah, he was one
Hey,
of
tell
the.
your dad pull up.
Yeah, I
he
know,
was
right?
He was absolutely one of those guys. You either loved him on your team or you hated playing.
You
him.
hated against him.
And now then he becomes the manager of the White Sox
Yeah.
and takes the 2005 White Sox to a World Series championship, a team that like where the stars completely aligned, where it felt like every player on that team had a career year. You had Joe Creedy, Aaron Rowan, Carlos Lee, Tadahito Iguchi, AJ Pierzynski, and like they brought them all together from different places and developed different ones. Paul Konerko obviously was a big leader on that team. And then, of course, their pitching staff, one of the greatest starting five pitching staffs I think you'll ever see, especially in a playoff run. And Ozzie was just kind of that nucleus, that engine that kind of drove that whole thing. AJ Pierzynski talks about these stories of these guys going out late at night, getting drunk and having fun, and then coming out the next day and going to work. And you just talk about from player to World Series manager. Now he's in the media doing post-game shows for NBC Sports Chicago. And even if you're not a Cub fan, it's must-see TV because he's one of the few guys in Chicago sports media that will tell it like it is. Everybody else gives the company line, but he doesn't have to worry about that because he's got credentials in this city beyond media credentials.
Noted and goaded.
He's got the ring on his finger. So you want to throw him down the road, somebody else will pick him up just that much quickly. So he tells it like it is. And so, in my opinion, when you talk about his story from player to coach to media, I think he is one of the greatest Chicago sports stories ever.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. And when you think about Ozzie Guillen, you compare him automatically to Ozzie Smith, a guy that's not going to strike out. He's going to put the ball in play, but he's going to make the right baseball play 100% of the time. And he translated that to his managerial career, pressing the right buttons. And Greg, to be honest with you, the 2005 White Sox didn't have an ego. They didn't have an ego, and they took on the personality of the manager, whether, just like you said, if you're going to take your ass out and party all night, you're going to bring it back to work. Baseball is fun. It's a kid's game. But at the end of the day, if you're going to get checks in the mail, that's a job.
Right.
So Ozzie got really good players to look at baseball as a job, whether they wasn't digging in the box. They were clocking in.
Yep.
And they were very successful with that type of culture.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Ozzie is the triple OG.
I think what you said just now about him making it a job was one thing, but at the same time, the 2005 Chicago White Sox were fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Across the board, outfielders, infielders, everybody worked in harmony together. And then at the same, and when they came up, when it was time to do a job, guys did a job. Everybody did a job. The whole team did a job.
Look at this.
Gucci did a job. Freaking Paz did a job. Jermaine Dye did a job. Every time they came up to bat, somebody did a job. It's just like your guys, but I'm not going to talk about your guys. But at the same time,
Ray, think about this. The White Sox in 2005 did two things on a primal level of baseball pretty well. They didn't walk anybody, and they hit the cutoff man.
Absolutely.
If you do those two things, you can keep the game
They
within
did
the
that.
lines, and more importantly, within your control.
They did that.
Yeah, I mean, it almost felt like, when you watch them, everybody always brings up the movie Moneyball, right? And that team
Scott
had a great,
Hatteberg,
well, and that team had a great pitching.
Miguel Tejada,
Right.
Yeah.
That team had a great pitching staff, right?
yeah, Mark Mulder,
And then they just had grinders, right? They made a playoff
Eric
run
Chavez.
after they got rid of, they couldn't re-sign some top players. And that's what happened to that 2005 White Sox team. They got rid of Maglio Ordonez. And people were losing their mind when
Yeah,
that
I was
happened.
out of my mind. I was pissed.
Maglio's
well,
one of
he's the greatest outfielder in White Sox history.
Right. He was
Oh,
a
period.
superstar. But they got rid of him
Yeah.
and changed the complexion of that team and brought in guys that were going to fit a new identity. And everybody just filled that roll perfectly, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Even a guy like Jermaine Dye.
Jermaine Dye was
comes
my
in-
guy.
Jermaine Dye
That's
bought
my
in
guy.
from day one.
Right.
Bought
Ends up
in.
being World Series MVP, aging veteran.
Yeah.
But everybody knows his talent pedigree.
It was amazing.
You got Scott Podsednik, of all people, hitting maybe the
Scotty
most crucial home run in
Yeah.
White Sox history.
It was amazing.
Game 2 at home,
Yeah.
against Houston.
Ed
in
Farmer's
the night.
best call in his career.
I told Scotty,
Ed Farmer's best call.
I saw him
That's
at
probably right.
I saw Scott Podsednik at Wrigley one time, and they were doing a pregame show for Cubs Sox. And I go, hey, Pods, for anybody here that doesn't know, I'm a Cub fan. These are all Sox fans. I go, hey, Pods. He looks over. I go, that was a lucky hit. He goes, yeah, I haven't seen any lucky hits over here anytime. This is before we had won a
Before
World
y'all
Series.
won it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Scotty.
Yeah, Potts is amazing.
No.
One of my favorite players was Juan
happening?
Uribe,
Yeah.
and he
Loading the chamber right now.
he was one of the most
bringing it
amazing
over here?
grinders on that team. Yeah.
Are you bringing that in?
Yes, sir.
Trey Tunes getting around.
Yeah,
his
we're
shots.
getting some shots going around here.
What is this?
Yeah, this is amazing.
Don't get me, James.
Oh, man.
Jameson?
Let's wait.
You still got that acid reflex,
We're
Greg?
speaking.
What
Yeah,
was this
don't
one?
get me, Jameson, or I'll be
Fireball.
rapping
That's
here live
fireball.
on the
That's
set.
fireball.
This is fireball.
Yeah,
man?
that's fireball.
Better
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna have problems.
And that's fireball right there.
Ladies and
drink
gentlemen,
that, sir?
we're glad Greg Bragg's
How we
got
doing,
his
sir? Did you
IBS
meet
under
Ozzie?
control.
Did you meet Ozzie yet? You're here
Okay,
for it?
okay.
All right. Tell Ozzie we said what up. He better, when you meet him, tell him to come on out here.
Come on out here and come talk
We're
to
gonna
us, buddy.
interrogate him.
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
We're gonna have a beer
We're
with you.
going to force him out here. Don't you worry.
We're gonna
We're
have
going
a
to get him
shower.
on the mic. He's not leaving until
When's the last time you peer pressured anybody to do something?
Oh.
Yeah, hey, we got shots. Hey,
That's how I got
but-
married,
but-
ladies and gentlemen.
but cheers.
Hey,
salute.
That's
Cheers,
what we're
cheers,
doing here at
cheers.
Catch Table and
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that wasn't fireball, but nobody's perfect. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Trae. Thanks, Trae. Just a little
Thank you.
curveball.
Put a molly all in my
Trae.
drink. He didn't know it.
Oh my god.
Fireball is disgusting. I don't know.
So Greg,
I
I
smelled
got
mine, but I didn't care. It smelled like
Hot
outside.
fucking cinnamon. Who
Greg, I
drinks
got
hot
an
cinnamon?
important question for
Who
you,
the
Greg.
fuck drinks hot cinnamon? That's the question.
I drank
That's
anything.
disgusting.
Is that what you had?
Yes, I had a fireball. It's disgusting.
You should have traded me. I probably got yours.
Well, young man, listen. Don't drink fireball. It's disgusting. That was.
It's okay. It's okay.
What's your question for me? This better
Here
not
you go.
be
I'm gonna leave it alone. But God, that was
your
disgusting.
famous 3 questions. I'll give you 1 question.
Ooh.
I just got one question, Greg.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What's your pronoun?
Hey, my pronoun is champ. World Series 2016.
I thought it was
champ.
more fries.
More fries? Oh, I told you earlier my
Nope.
pronoun was milk and cookies.
Nope. 2016 never happened. We forgot that year.
Exactly.
That year.
How we doing, gentlemen?
How you guys
Enjoy
doing?
tonight. We got more Sox fans walking up.
Hey,
How we
shout
doing,
out,
guys?
shout out to the guy with the
Enjoy the
signal corps
night.
hat.
Yes, I like
Let's
it.
go
Hey,
That's
Sox.
a nice Patriots jacket. Okay.
Ozzie Guillen's inside. He's got the St. Louis. Oh yeah, that's a
No, he's wearing a signals corps
Is that
hat.
cool?
Like a lot of people don't know signals. Not you, big guy. The other guy. He's the military guy
It's not
behind
nice
you.
to point, man.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
there
your
you go.
service. We
Signal
appreciate
corps. There
you.
you go. Yeah.
So we got more
You knew
Sox
what I was
fans
talking
coming
about.
in here.
Was that the Patriots? I don't know. That's logo on the back.
Like he. Yeah.
I like this.
Hey,
I haven't seen any
Nice
Cubs
Notre
shit
Dame.
all night.
Notre Dame in the house. Look at this.
I like
Notre
that.
Dame.
Notre Dame
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
All day.
Boo.
Yeah, this
We are
guy.
not booing.
This guy knows
Boo.
Notre Dame. Boy,
How are you gonna boo Notre Dame in Indiana?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You're
All
not
day.
You acting like he's wearing some Purdue.
Yeah,
Come on now, don't be hating on Purdue. We've had a tough.
It's either
tough
you
stretch
Purdue or
here.
you Purdue.
yeah,
So yeah, hey,
Yeah.
we've got a lot.
We
to
are
talk
Marshall.
yeah. We do.
We got a lot to talk about tonight. It's 7:00.
Yeah.
And at 7:30, the NBA Western Conference Finals, Game 3, will be kicking off. Nuggets, Lakers. I'm fully invested in this game.
Me too.
For obvious reasons, I hate LeBron James.
Hey,
So
hey,
I am
Greg,
yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about.
We
Did you
flop
see the?
James.
Did you see the over and under of how many flops you have this game?
They've got an over
It's
under
over
set for
under.
how many flops?
Yeah, yeah.
How many flops?
It was Yeah.
Let me hammer that.
No,
over.
it was 1.5.
1.5.
Well, I'll say
In the
this
whole
much,
game.
You
A
know,
flop and a half.
to be fair to the
Flop and a half.
conversation, LeBron and Jokic just need to chill on the refs. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Van Gundy said it perfectly on the telecast last game. Nobody's committed a foul in this game.
Right.
Will you guys relax? Like every time down the floor,
Yeah.
the whistle's called and they're yelling at the refs. I didn't do it. They clearly did it. So, you know, I'm fully invested in the Nuggets trying to push this series to 3-0.
Greg Braggs invested
here
in
tonight.
Nuggets. Incredible.
Again.
Color me shocked.
I almost wore the Mr. Nuggets shirt here tonight, and I didn't.
That would have been nice.
Had to
What
rep-
type of sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But no,
I mean, if I'm not a Nuggets, I'm not a chicken Nuggets guy, but if I was,
Liar.
hey,
what is this Congress? Look, you lie.
you lie.
Like, it's the State of the
You pick up the
Union.
shoe.
And you know, Biden trying to get a little bit of melanin in office, so you got to be careful with Asia.
Yeah.
So
Hey, but Greg,
Asia's I'm on Asia's bad side because I want to support local business. But
Right.
I'm just saying, the Lakers.
right.
I want the Lakers to lose here tonight because I can't stand LeBron. Then they'll be down 3-0.
Yeah.
Ray, what is your thoughts going into tonight? Do you think the Lakers trounce them? It's back in LA.
I'm
Denver's
worried.
got them up to
I'm kind of worried about tonight's game as far as for the Los Angeles Lakers going in and thrashing the Nuggets tonight. Like I think it's going to happen because the refs are going to give LeBron a lot of leeway tonight.
This man has a fucking Android, and he's sitting here texting.
Yeah,
I'm listening.
He's
It's
gonna-
called multitasking.
yeah, he's gonna. I think the refs are going to play a
Ray's
big part in
saying
the
a
game
eulogy
tonight.
for the Lakers, and you're sitting there texting on
Yeah.
your
I hope
Android.
they.
You're the reason the bubbles are green.
Yeah. I don't think they lose tonight. Honestly, I think the refs are going to give them one.
You know, if they want this series to go 7, the Lakers got to win.
It ain't
tonight.
going 7.
It's not going 7.
It's not going
Listen here. It's not going 7. It's going 4.
Yeah, 'cause
It's
you've
going
been-
4.
You've been the big
Jokic,
shot.
well,
Jokic is
he's
the
a
best
Jokic guy.
player in the world.
Jokic guy.
LeBron is washed.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Hang the jersey up.
You got a
Don't
little
wait.
bit of
Don't
Jokic
wait
on the
for
corner of your
Bronny. Just
mouth.
hang it up. You're done.
Hey,
You suck.
Hey, Ian. Thank you.
Well, I mean, he is.
It's over. Nuggets in 4.
He is
Quote
getting old-
me.
he
I
is-
don't care.
He is getting older, right? Because he tried doing his patented behind the back windmill dunk.
He can't do it.
He can't do it. He fell out of his
He can't
hand.
do it.
We're gonna try not to put our guy on the spot as he
Yeah, we
walks
won't
up.
put him on the spot.
You know, it's like one of those. It's like be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool, because a certain somebody is walking up to catch.
Yeah, we
table
won't
and
say
tap.
anything.
We won't put
Won't
him
say
on the
nothing.
spot right
Quote
away.
me on the
Coming
spot.
up
Can
here,
I
but
just
maybe
give
we
Nuggets
can
will.
in
I give the
4.
viewers a hint?
You can give him a hint.
Give
I'll
him a
let
hint.
you do the honors.
Give him a hint.
You know, a certain somebody's walking up. I'm not going to say who it is, but that's my man.
He's a good-looking
That's my
fella.
man.
He's a good-looking fella.
It really
There
is.
he is.
He's a Chicago legend in the house. Ozzie Guillen walking in.
Yeah.
Ozzie
Hey,
Jr.
That's
Ozzie
good.
Jr.
Right there.
Junior.
I love you.
You ain't off the hook. You gonna
Yeah,
be
no, Junior.
hey, you
Oh,
gonna be
Junior.
hey,
No,
hey,
Junior.
you
No,
gonna be grabbing a mic.
No,
here in
you're
a
not
little
doing
bit.
that, Junior.
No, mom is
No,
wait.
you're not doing that, Junior.
And
Yeah.
the crowd goes wild.
The crowd
as
goes wild.
Ozzie
Ozzie goes in the
Guillen
building. Yeah.
just entered the building here at Catch Table and Tap. We're gonna be begging Ozzie to try
Yeah.
to come on later. We'll see what happens.
Greg, are
No
you
pressure,
surprised
no
they're
pressure.
happier to see him than you?
I am. I mean, you know, we're all a legend in our own mind, right? You know, so it's okay. It's
Yeah,
all right.
I was lucky enough to get myself a nice
This bench
picture
is
of
hurting my
Ozzie
ass.
playing shortstop with his autograph. So I'm pretty blessed to have that one. But I'm excited to meet Ozzie tonight. I'm very excited to meet Ozzie.
Well, I mean, Ozzie just waved in my direction. My life is complete.
Ian,
It's
yes.
complete.
Yeah, there you go. buddy.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, and
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
I'm good to
Ozzie,
go.
Ozzie, I'm a Cub fan, so like when Ozzie said that Wrigley Field smelled like rat piss, like I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
come on,
yeah,
like,
kinda.
come on, dude, why you gotta do that?
They
to
got
us?
rats the
That's-
size of pigs, man.
That's good.
So, you know, full disclosure.
That's why we love him.
Mama Bear is walking up. My good mother,
Hi, Mom.
Barb Graham,
I knew who
in the
that was.
house.
I
She's
knew who that
hobbling around.
was.
She got one knee replaced a couple years ago, but now she needs the other knee replaced.
playing.
You
Well, and I
deserve.
have an MCL. Why
Yeah.
can't you? Well, I want you to get your knee replaced, but after Jenny and I go on our 10-year anniversary vacation,
Where you going?
we're going to go to Key West. It's not
Yeah.
selfish, Trae. Somebody's got to
Uh,
watch our kid, and if she gets her knee replaced, she ain't going to be able to chase Addie around. She's gonna have to get her knee replaced in September. So hobble
He's
around
terrible.
until
He's terrible.
the end of the
He's
baseball
terrible.
season.
He's terrible.
Are you
You,
kidding
It's
me?
his mother.
you deserve all the best things in life for putting up with this.
Yeah.
guy.
And
I don't know how you do it.
Miss Brad, we
you
knew
should grab a
last year
mic.
when we met him
Yeah.
that you're a
wanna
lovely
hear it.
woman. You did the best you could. We know you did the best you could.
Yeah. Ray said you try.
Can I be honest, Mom? Replying to your son is the worst part of my day.
Yeah. Mr. Argue. Yeah.
Mr. Argue.
He's still that guy.
I'm still that
You
guy.
Honey mustard, no barbecue.
Mr.
Mom's
Argue.
house.
Honey mustard.
He
Telling
was
the
always
boys
Mr.
that
Argue now.
She used to call me Mr. Argue.
Yeah.
We called my mom the General
Yeah.
because she
Okay.
used to really, break it down for us. And all of my friends would come to our house.
Yeah.
And she really had to, get after us because we were always delinquents, doing a lot of bad things that you kids should never do.
Should never do.
Or
You
maybe
should never do
maybe
it.
maybe wait till high
Notre
school.
Dame
at
shirt.
least to do.
My
And
guy
so
over
we
here
called her
never do
the
it.
General.
You were
Yeah.
sniffing markers?
Yeah, we were doing a lot of crazy stuff. So, God bless her. So thank you. And you didn't even tell me you were coming, so I appreciate. Mom's in the house.
Yeah.
We got
My wife is
we
here.
got the better
My wife,
halves.
my wife is here.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the first time
my
meeting.
fa-
I'm excited
yeah,
to
you
meet
gotta-
her.
you gotta
Once-
meet my wife,
Once
yeah.
the show's done
yeah.
here,
Gotta be.
I got a lot of
Get some
questions after the
out.
show. I'm not gonna lie.
Asia's in the house.
That's the
We got
best
a bunch
Sox
of
jersey I've
fans.
ever seen.
Word.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know,
Thank
what-
you.
You know what's great about
You
that
gotta wait till
Sox jersey?
somebody come back out.
Is if you tried to cross traffic at night, you'd be just fine. He's wearing a bright lime green
Yeah.
Sox
Can-
jersey.
You're in the
Can we
game,
show
bro.
it?
He would be.
Can we
Hey,
show it?
Ozzie just got in there. You're right on time, buddy.
He's got stuff to do.
Yeah.
He wants to show it.
Come show the jersey.
Yeah, there you go. Come
We
on.
can't talk about the jersey and not show
All right,
it.
Yeah,
Here
come show
we
the
go.
jersey.
It's
You know
kinda
what?
like
Actually,
a
take my-
lime green. What's your name, sir?
My name is Adam.
Adam.
Evans from Crown Point, Indiana.
Crown Point, Indiana.
For the reason.
Did you grow up here?
Munster.
Munster.
I've had this jersey, we'll say 1994-ish.
Okay.
Wow.
You know what I was doing in '94?
He was
He
swinging
wasn't
his daddy's
alive.
balls.
Being a thought between
Yeah,
your parents.
wasn't
I
even a
imagine.
thought.
I mean, I was born in
Wasn't even a
'92, so I was just making sure that I was wifing good enough.
Yeah, he was working on it, Adam. So did you go to Elliott?
I went to Frank H. Hammond.
Okay, all right, because we got some Munster roots personally there. So that's cool, man. So you're here to see Ozzie Guillen, right?
I am.
You excited for that?
Yep, good, bad, and different. Thank you for the memories, gentlemen.
Yeah,
No
love it.
problem.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you for coming, Adam.
When you talk about Ozzie Guillen, manager, player, great shortstop. Now he's a superstar media member, telling it like it is. Would you say he's one of the greatest Chicago sports stories ever? Because that's kind of where we're at with it.
Absolutely. I mean, as a Sox fan, growing up, I'm 40 now, but growing up, I never thought I would see the Sox win the World Series.
Right.
So when they won the World Series, it was like, thank you.
We're
And
not
who's the
worthy.
manager?
We're not worthy.
Exactly.
We're not worthy.
So
Yeah.
I now today, I never think I'm going to see them win the World Series ever again. It is what it is.
Calm down.
Come on.
We won today.
I was there.
Yeah.
I wore the bright green jersey.
Wait, you were at the game.
I was at the game against the Royals. They won 5-1. It was a wonderful day.
Oh, great game.
Incredible.
Yeah, good job.
Got
But-
a little sun. Got a little sun.
I did. I'm probably red,
Yeah.
white skin. What are you going to do?
Oh, that's good. It's good.
Yeah, you and your jersey
You gotta
match
get a
right
little
now.
sun, man.
But gentlemen, do you think the White Sox should win the World Series in the next, we'll say 5 years?
Well, maybe
I
give
don't
it
know
10.
about
Maybe
that
give
one.
it 10.
I don't
Maybe
know.
give it 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
hope-
don't know. It's
I
rough.
hope you're right.
It's
He's got a
rough.
little
I don't
rebuild.
think we
Got a
will.
little rebuild.
Can I
in
be
his
can
energy.
I
rough.
be completely honest with you?
I love honesty.
I think the White Sox are winning the World Series within the next 3 years.
I
Well,
love it.
he's not being. He's
And
being
I love it.
As Ozzie Jr.
Wait,
laughs his
If I
ass
look
off.
into the camera, that means I'm telling the truth.
Yeah. Okay. He's learned the
3
media
years.
game. He's learned the media game.
Ozzie laughs.
So, well,
Ozzie Jr.
Adam,
laughs his
feel free
ass
to come
off.
on out. We're gonna be
when
doing
he
the
said
show
that.
here all
This is-
night,
And this
hanging
is
out.
the co-host.
So if you want
Laughing
to
in
come
your
out
face.
and
Yeah.
jump on the mic, tell us the experience. Tell Ozzie we said what's up when you go say
This
hi.
this
to
guy
him.
came from Michigan.
So we appreciate you coming out, man. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, this guy.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, maybe so.
Well, we're
This
gonna,
guy says.
I don't know if we want to put Ozzie Guillen Jr.
Fuck
on the
him.
spot. This
Oh,
is Justin's
yeah.
co-host.
He's
So,
a
Ian,
Giants
Ian, why don't you
Yeah.
shuffle off here for a minute, and we're going to welcome
What's up,
our
buddy?
guy,
How you doing, man?
Ozzie
Ozzie.
Guillen
It's my favorite
Jr.
White Sox fan.
It's good to see you, man. It's great to meet you for the first time,
Co-host
buddy.
of the Blackout
Yeah.
here
Yes.
with my guy, Chris Gonzalez. You know, I've been giving him a hard time in our
Come
chats, but he's a good friend.
I know you're gonna
We've
say
been
that.
going at it the last few days. I ain't gonna give him the nickname on the show.
You better fucking not.
I've been hard on him because he's coming at me because I'm a Cub fan. Full
I
disclosure.
can- that's fine.
So he's coming at me now because the Cubs are sliding. The Sox are starting to heat up. They're 11-8 here in the month of May. So how for you? Do you think that they're turning a corner, or we still got to wait and see?
Turning a corner where?
Turning a
We won
corner
today.
to 500.
So number one,
Baby steps.
everyone loves analytics, okay?
Oh my God.
And baseball's a game of numbers. So they have to win a certain amount of games, just like the Cubs have to lose a certain amount of games. There's 60 and 40 games that usually split up. So getting on one or the other, the team's getting better.
Sure.
I think the projection for the Chicago Cubs is a lot more positive than the Chicago White Sox, only for the fact that there's a lot of guys that are doing things there earlier and are not proven. So the time frame for them is a lot. The White Sox are on the back end of that, where 4 years ago, Riggs a genius, Pantera's the next Mike Trout.
Right.
Moncada's better than Creedy.
He still is.
Everyone on the staff is better than every other pitcher that's pitched in the Chicago White Sox history. Michael Kopech night in the rain,
Right.
people came out. That's all done.
Yeah.
The people, it's like a marriage. They got married and the marriage is not good.
Yeah.
And you're like,
But can we
wow,
go
what
to
is it going to
Cavs
look
then?
like? So that's what the difference. I think they're turning a corner. They're playing better baseball, but this is what they're supposed to do. Like the teams that they've been playing are really, really bad
Sure.
teams, including a team that I follow very closely,
Mhm.
who's playing horrible
Mhm.
baseball. They cannot hit. Their pitching has not been working. So yes, they have won in May, but they should be beating these teams very easily.
Well, I think the thing for Chicago fans across the board, whether it's the Bulls or the Bears, Cubs, Sox, whatever, we always take a player's top year and say, well, they're going to only keep getting better. And sometimes you take for granted what it actually takes to roll that over, reset the next year, and do it again. And baseball is probably the hardest sport to do that in. 162 games a season. It takes a lot to have a great career. And so when Luis Robert comes out hot, different players, Moncada has a career year a few years ago. You got to hold yourself to that standard. And I think these guys have kind of gone through the motions here the last couple of years and taken that grind for granted. Is it too late for them
No,
to find that again?
You know what? I think actually Ozzie and I were on the way in the car and we were talking. We always talk baseball, White Sox, non-White Sox.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the only things we have in common. I can't really talk about other
I'm not
things.
talking about cookies and cake.
Yeah, no. So even if they go and play great baseball, okay, let's say they just go off the rest of the year. There is such a hole that you got to hope that the Twins just have a horrible collapse in order for them to take the division, and it can happen. Okay, mathematically.
Sure.
I think they're in a situation where they need to look and see, okay, they got their manager for 3 years. Can we stay competitive for the next 2 years while kind of retooling just because we started off so slow? Okay, so there are a lot of money's coming off the books. It's going to be an interesting deadline because they could potentially move guys. And in the blackout, we did an analysis where, the rumor now, every week there's like a new theme. They go after a new player. It goes from like off season is like Ozzie, Steve Stone, somebody on Twitter, and whoever starts playing back, because White Sox fans are like, they get nuttier as the time goes by. I really do that. They thought they were going to win
Get
it,
nutty.
and they just got nuttier and nuttier. The let's replace TA storyline,
Sure.
okay? Regardless of how bad TA is or is not defensively, or if he's not going to be a batting champion every year, to replace his numbers, even when he is mediocre, it is not an easy replacement.
No.
One that cannot be done internally, and I don't care how many times, and this is not personal, Mr. Montgomery, the kid in the minor leagues. And I get with Gonzo on this. Any name that's in the minor leagues, they make him a prospect automatically. There's podcasts talking about future White Sox. None of those guys ever seen those guys play.
Right.
They see highlights from NBC. They see things from scouting. Of course, they're going to say that my players are good. they make the top 100 list of your own team, of course you're going to have a top 100 list, and your top guys are going to be the guys you drafted highest. So there's no replacement from within. So things like TA is like, okay, if they keep him, they might have to extend him. So this time frame right now is they're looking at. I don't think they can blow it up and compete in the next 5 years. They need to retool with what they have and find a way to win in a division that honestly is not going to get better in the next 3 years. It's winnable every year. Every year
It's a winnable year, right?
Every year
Every
the
year's
Central
winnable.
Division. If the White Sox were in any other division, they would be the laughing stock of baseball in the sense that it'd be so hard for them to compete.
They'd be Oakland A's.
They'd be the Oakland A's. So it's just really hard. Like, but the Central, even going back 20 years, the Central's always been a division where every team is kind of financially the same. Everyone's on the same pace. So you never have somebody that's like a top. It's always like they can always switch off. So that's where I see the hope for them. But this season is going to be hard for them just because they dug themselves such a deep hole. And they can play great baseball. The other thing is, to his comment on the World Series, the reason that I laugh is because people think winning a World Series is so easy.
Oh,
Okay,
no, it's not.
There's great teams out there. The team that I was petrified by, disliked them growing up always because they were just so good. Jim Thome was like the fourth best.
Sandy Alomar.
Jim Thome was like the fourth best player on the team. Yeah, for Jim
Robbie
Thome.
Alomar.
Yeah,
And
just
also
like,
Omar
I hate
Vizquel,
that.
the greatest.
10-year-old little Ozzie's just crying in the corner right now. But I grew up with, and that team never won a World Series. So there's teams. The Dodgers last year, they didn't. They won a COVID.
Right.
Sorry, White Sox
We don't
fans.
count that.
I don't count MVPs, COVID season,
Yeah, we
World
don't
Series.
count
I don't count that stuff.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
that's
We're
just,
not social distancing right now.
No, we're not. So I think that the franchise though, I think the expectations need to be reset, and I think this year the fans are actually being more realistic, and that's something that on our show we kind of bring up often is because I really think the fans bought into like we're gonna win in 2 years.
Sure.
Like even Theo didn't do that. Theo said I need 10 years.
Right.
You think his plan was really 10 years? No, he was probably like I want to win this year.
Right.
The Sox said we're gonna meet me at the parade.
Yeah.
Ask me when the parade happens.
So I think
come on, Rick, huh?
So I think that people really bought into the expectation of they were going to win right away. It might take a little bit longer. By the way, these guys are super young, man. Tim Anderson's not 30 yet.
He's not 30.
Pantera is not even close. You know, he's getting to 100
He's what,
games.
26 right now?
Berger, when you look at the time played, again, health has not been something that's been, lucky on their side. But these guys are all really, really young that they still have the potential. And when we did the analysis, there's arms within the White Sox organization that are pretty good, and they can go out and spend, hopefully, and outbid, for two really good arms next year.
We're here at Catch Table and Tap. White Sox fans lining up for Ozzie Guillen.
go.
We got our guy Ozzie
go, White
Guillen Jr. here on set. Really appreciate you coming on. Ozzie, I think maybe one of the questions I really wanted to ask you was growing up, I'm a junior. My dad's Greg Braggs. I'm Greg Braggs Sr., but didn't carry the same weight as probably
There's
what
three
you had to
juniors up
deal
here.
with.
Nobody carries your weight,
Well,
Greg.
you should
Yeah.
see my dad's weight. That's
Yeah,
a lot
there's
of weight
three
to carry.
juniors up here right
So
now.
we
Hold on
both
now.
got some weight here. But with your dad's name and then you carrying that name over, what was that like for you growing up, being Ozzie Guillen Jr., going to school, and your friends knowing that your dad was this legend of Chicago?
You know what? I think White Sox fans just got really creepier later on in life.
I appreciate that.
I'm being serious. I think when I grew up here, and maybe it's because the neighborhoods that I grew up, people were just like, oh, it's Ozzie. So I went to grade school in Bridgeport, lived in Berwyn, went to school in Bridgeport. Then we moved to Burr Ridge, went to Gower Middle School. And I used to live 6 months out of the year in Chicago. But I played Little League. I was actually today at Centennial, Harvester Park. I umpired the place that I played Little League in. And my friends' dads were my coaches. My dad would be at the game whenever. So it wasn't, when I was younger, it was not, like I knew my dad was Ozzie Guillen, but it wasn't like, oh, it's weird. It got weird when he came back as a manager. Hence the fact I live in Chicago. I was like, wait, I can drink for free and people like me because I'm moving to Chicago from St. Petersburg, Florida at the time. That's when I was like, whoa. But I think growing up, the funny thing is I did not play baseball. So growing up in Venezuela, the 6 months that I lived there, I quit playing baseball like at 13 years old, 14. I said, I'm done. And I only focused on basketball. And I played in a really good team. Jordan Navarro was my teammate, former big leaguers on my team. And I left because every time I came to play, everyone's like, it's Ozzie's kid. And I was horrible defensively. I was like the opposite of everyone in my family. Like I couldn't catch a cold. I was like I was struggling bad, and I could hit,
Okay.
but not to the level that they expect. I think I didn't start practicing baseball like really wanting to be a baseball player till later in life. I grew up in Chicago, man. I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I was
Right,
like,
for
I'm going to
sure.
be the first Venezuelan in the NBA. So I played basketball, and in Venezuela, I dominated in basketball. I actually teammates with Gravis Vasquez, represented Venezuela.
Yeah.
So I was better at basketball. So I told my parents, I said at 14, I said, I'm done. And my dad actually said quit because our team was very competitive. Venezuela, there's none of that everybody plays mentality.
Sure.
You know, like you're winning the championship. So we had a bench. So I'd go to games, you know, they wake my dad up like 7 a.m, drive me, and he's there, and I'm like, I don't even get in their bat.
Right.
You know, and he's like, you gotta stop, like, you don't need this. So that's the only time I ever felt as a kid, like I'm like, I don't want to do this, because I literally felt pressure, like I'm gonna go hit. I'm like, these people literally are expecting my father. But after that, no, man. People are always gonna say like, oh, you get stuff for free, you get a lot of hassles for free, but that's why I live here. I live in Chicago, down, you know, a little bit further from where we're at right now, but it's because it's home and people are not weird at all.
So judging by this story, you just told Ozzie was more supportive than hard on you going through sports, trying to get you to, you know, find your potential in different areas.
My dad was very honest. Just like you imagine having Ozzie like as a manager
I don't think
in
it could
real
be
life.
anybody but
Actually, the
him.
real boss suck, man.
Yeah.
Hey, pretty much.
Yeah.
So my mom's the real boss of the family. But when it came to, so my parents were always about education. So like you got to go to school because you're probably not going to be a professional athlete. Like that was like their mindset. Because what people don't realize is, out of my family, my cousin right now is in the big leagues. My dad played pro ball. There's a lot more people in my family that played baseball that did not make it from those that made it. So they're like, hey, you should go to school. And so school is number one. Like if you don't like bad grades, you're not playing anything. When we got older, my dad never coached us. It was like my uncles, my grandparents. Like this is how you do this. This is what baseball is. But he never said, hey, throw the ball this way. We grew up around the game, but he never started practicing with us until one day we were in high school and he was like, you want to play college? Well, we're like, yeah, of course. He's like, well, you're gonna have to get a little bit better at a couple little things. And then when we got to college, he was like, do you want to play beyond college? Because right now you're not playing beyond college. So he was very like, you suck. Like there's no point of you, you should retire and do X, Y, and Z. He was always very straight. He was not one of those parents that was like, hey, you should, my son's amazing and dropping stats. He told me I used to play football in high school and I was actually pretty good. Defensive record for like interceptions like my sophomore year. Thought I was like Deion Sanders. And I got smoked.
You got all your toes?
I would not want my toes if I was like Deion, but I got smoked in a play and he was there. And after the game, he looks at me and goes, how many Venezuelan Latinos do you know in the NFL? And I was like, none, actually. He goes, what makes you think you're going to be the first one? Quit kidding yourself and stop playing football. And he was just straight up. So, but so even today, man, he's just very honest, brings it. Again, a little bit of tough love. I don't think I grew up in that era, but he was just very straightforward. Like, you suck.
Ozzie Guillen Jr. joining us here at Catch Table and Tap for the Collector's Cave event with Ozzie Guillen inside signing for White Sox fans lined up here outside. We got my guy Ray. He lives here in the area.
Yeah.
A great dude.
I met Ozzie Jr. on the show, the very first Blackout show.
Yes,
I was
sir.
on the show as a
right.
guest,
That's right.
and I
kicked the door
enjoyed my
open.
time with
By
him.
the way, after that, it was like, there's no one's going to beat that story where they watch the game.
Well, Gonzo's been the best guest we've had. since then.
Yeah,
God,
well,
this is the best.
I remember telling you that story, and you were like, "Yo, that's a crazy story." The story I told about how I watched the 2005 World Series in Iraq. But one of my favorite guys from that team was Juan Uribe. Outside of Jermaine Dye, I told you Jermaine Dye is my guy. He's here, but Juan Uribe, the grinder. We were talking about it before you got here. The number of grinders on that team, the number of people who were just like, we're gonna go out here and do a freaking job. But it seemed like Juan Uribe bought into whatever your father was telling them in the meetings, in the film room, in the dugouts, whatever. Juan just like it seemed like he exuded Ozzie at that position.
You know what? I think that it's funny that you mentioned that because right now there's been, again, talking about Twitter, some controversy of Ozzie saying he didn't bought into the whole eye pitch. He bought into it. Meaning, but he knows
Yeah, I saw
everybody.
that.
He says everybody in the roster is not bought into it. So like, let's not talk about it like the success is because of this machine, and it's because of guys like Juan Uribe. Okay, Juan Uribe is probably one of the guys that I've met that has no fear in life. Okay,
Wow, that
meaning
makes
no
sense.
fear. This guy, number one, he doesn't speak English, but his level in Spanish, at one point, I don't even know if he's learned how to read and write yet. Okay, so baseball is everything that he knows, and this guy's like, I'm like, Juan, how do you survive? Like, how do you order food? This guy's just fearless. Baseball's his number one thing. And for him, Greg Walker and his coaching staff, including Ozzie, let Juan be Juan.
Okay.
Okay, let him feel comfortable as a player
Okay.
and communicated the information so that Juan understood what he needed to do.
Okay.
Okay, if we have signs and Juan does not get the sequence of the sign because not everybody gets signs, we're gonna have a sign just for Juan. Okay, because on the field he was super smart, so he could go and talk to Burley even though he spoke in English, and Burley knew what he wanted to do, and vice versa. That's the freedom of when you have a manager and a staff like that. That if Juan played in a different team, they would make Juan sit in a meeting, okay, and look at a computer and pretend that he's understanding
Oh wow.
what is telling him.
Yeah.
So it's the level of information and comfort. There's guys that don't hit live pitching. Manny Ramirez never took BP outside. There's guys that only take soft toss. There's guys that don't like hitting off a machine. So I think it's a comfort level. And I think with that 2005 team, there's a lot of guys that, man, Carl Everett, AJ Brzezinski, that when you look at their careers beforehand, they always had issues. And it was because they were not allowed to be themselves. And in that clubhouse, that team, and they were a very good team, everyone got to be themselves. And everyone was coached to who they were. And they got called out to who they were. And Ozzie knew how to push the button. So he, for them, he knew that if he talked to PK one way, it wouldn't be the same as talking to Jermaine. Ozzie knew that if he wanted to get to Jermaine, he rest in peace, Mr. Die, okay, probably Jermaine's number one critique. He's like, I say two things to Mr. Die. Mr. Die will get my message through.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that from Uribe standpoint is letting Uribe be Uribe, and he was a great player. His career speaks for itself.
Yep.
That after he left the Chicago White Sox, he had great success. Part of multiple World Series.
Only
teams.
winners won it.
Only winners. And again, a guy that's fearless, a guy that when you see him, you're like, is the ugliest ground ball ever to catch it the way he catches it, the way that he hits. But again, a guy that's walked but didn't take pitches, but they let him be him. And that's what I like. Now in the game today, they want to mold everybody to fit like a Tom and Mansky video, like everyone plays the same.
Instead of trying to coach them into being who they really are to get the most out of them.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
This guy's playing Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, he got to that level for a reason. So when you're saying when you tell guys like a TA, you got to take more pitches, you're taking away his aggressiveness.
Right.
A guy like Pantera, you look at Jose Ramirez, he's not taking a lot of pitches. Or guys like Altuve, they're just really good at what they do. So I think that you have to have a balance of having a good game plan, but you can't take away a player's identity. And people think often that a player's identity is how they dance on the field or what they say. A player's identity is how they play, man. Like if TA goes first to third, he gets thrown out at third base, like actually Moncada did this year with Grifol, and Pedro said, you know what, I like this aggressiveness. I can't take that away from him. You got to be a little bit smarter, but you got to be able to hone that. And that's the challenge in coaching is like, how do you get that energy focused in the right direction?
Right.
Making the lineup is the easy part, man. Making the lineup, I can make the lineup.
Getting
those guys to buy in and buying with you and your coaches and working day in and day out for 162, that's the hard part.
Well,
Let me see your browser history right now.
The hard part for me, Ozzie, is watching you start a brand with the Blackout Show. I really enjoy what you guys do on Tuesday nights. I love what you guys talk about Tuesday nights. So if you want to, tell everybody about the Blackout Show on Twitter.
I haven't won a pick to click all season.
He probably won't win one. He probably won't win one.
I'm 1-6.
Because you're a dreamer. That's because you're a
Do
dreamer.
you pick Johan every week?
No, I can't.
No, I do. That's why I made the rule you can't go back to back. No, so you know what? The Blackout Show is a very interesting time because Jared Carambas has his show, and that's one of my favorite ones. I listen to way too much podcast, but he's my favorite baseball show at the time. And then AJ just created one with Foul Territory, and the mindset I just talked to him about it is the same that when we created the Blackout Show. Obviously, he has it more like in the league itself, and he wants guys to have a voice. But the Blackout Show is for the delusional White Sox fan. My job is to bring you in, okay, and be honest with you. Because my dad, he works for NBC. I watch NBC, and I'm like, there's nothing you and Chuck are going to talk about that I don't know already. Meaning, because they have to be positive in the show. My show is like when you're going to come in, I'm going to be real to you. Like when you get on and say Kopech had the best game of his career. Yes, he did. But you cannot say we want that from him every single night. Because if you did, he'd be a Cy Young. So
Right.
that's being unrealistic. You want him to battle. Okay, you want him to pitch well. I also want some run support. They only scored 2 against the Royals. So what I do in the show, when I do
We
what
can't
I
even win in peace.
no, that's
Yo,
what I'm saying.
no,
though.
I was there,
No,
and I was like, come on, score some runs.
I'm bringing the reality, and people. So I got grief when one of the first shows because I said Pedro Griffol's a great baseball man. He could be a GM anywhere right now. I said no matter how good of a baseball man he is, first year managers make mistakes.
Yes.
David Ross, you compare David Ross to when he got the job to David Ross today. Whew, he is a hell of a manager. Even though he is a baseball guy, knew the game very
Right.
well. There's this thing. So I said, I'm not saying that he's a wrong guy for the job. I just think that if you want to win this year, it's really hard winning right away with a guy that's going to be making those first year that anybody makes. You know,
First year mistakes,
from
absolutely.
Ozzie to Sparky Anderson to Lou Piniella, it's very hard to get that going. So the blackout shows where we're talking about that again, and again we sometimes we're homers, like we said some crazy things, but it's like
I'm a homer all the time.
I'm saying though, bringing the reality to it, and then bringing that world of analytics, because we're all about the Twitter world. But when you're on Twitter, the people that are in analytics, man, they think that they're writing the algorithm, and they think because it's on Baseball Savant that every team is using that, and that's like that is the all be all, like that is it. And then the old school people are like, wait a minute, and they don't have the two worlds combined, and then they'll drop like, oh, this guy's an analytical guy. I'm like, no, he's not. He's been in baseball for 40 years. The guy's got 4th grade. And he's an analytical guy, really? Because why? Because he went to junior college and he speaks well.
Right.
You know what analytics does? And I started explaining it. Like people with eye pitch. Oh, this eye pitch. I'm like, dude, the eye pitch has been around for like 25 years. The White Sox were just cheap, and they didn't have one because it used to cost $100K. Now it only costs $14K. So every rapper, okay, or a reggaeton singer that loves baseball has one in their house. So you go to Daddy Yankee's house and you get drunk, you can probably face Beaver. So anyone that wants to buy an eye pitch can literally buy one right now. So in that sense, I think that we're there to tell you the truth or try to bring you in the reality of it and balance it out. And again, people get mad because they're like, you're not a diehard White Sox fan. And here's the part where it's funny. People think I'm not a White Sox fan because after Ozzie managing, I'm not a White Sox fan since 1998.
Wow.
When Ozzie was not brought back, my innocence, my virginity in baseball was taken in 1997 on my way home. Ron Karkovice and my dad were driving in the car together, and Ozzie had a falling out with Terry Bevington at the time.
Okay.
And I guess being an adult now, he must have had a conversation with Ron Schuler. He probably talked to Jerry, and we're not going to sign you. We might have to wait, or you're not coming back. And he told Ron Karkovice on the way driving back to Burr Ridge, this is it. Like, this is probably my last year with the White Sox. So when I got home that night, it was like, hey, this might be my last year with the White Sox. And I was like, well, what does that mean? They're like, we're probably going to move. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to move? Like, Chicago's home. So again, thank God it happened because we went to a winning team, the Braves, World Series, and a lot of fun things. Ozzie's career changed a lot. But at that moment, I realized, like, man, even this guy loves the White Sox. And every single year after that, he tried coming back to Chicago for less money, then as a coach, and no. And then he finally had to come back as the boss, which they wonder why he was the way he was. But at that moment, I said, baseball's a business. And I saw it from the business that it was. And then I saw it again as my dad's career transpired. So at that moment, I said, I'm not a White Sox fan because I can root it. I rooted against them in the 2000 playoff. They faced my boy Freddie Garcia. We told Freddie, throw hard at Frank, throw it at his head. He'll be scared to face you. Punt on him. He ain't gonna want it. But I'm saying though, like I've never rooted. So like as a fan, like am I a fan of the White Sox? Like you?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are diehards. Like I've rooted against the White Sox. So when we came back, of course I was a fan when we came back. My father was getting a paycheck, and if he was a manager again,
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes, which is really funny, of him getting interviewed, because imagine I'm an adult now. So I know how bad it is. Like baseball is like what probably other people feel about politics and like finances that are like freaking out. I'm not that smart in those subjects, so I can live my life more comfortably. But imagine if like you really know like how bad it is. That's how I am with baseball. So when he got interviewed for the job, I was like, yeah, man, White Sox, you love him. It's a great job, but here are all the negatives. These are all the things that could happen if you become the manager. And most of them have become true, by the way.
Wow.
And then they struggled. So that was funny because it was like, you want the job, but like, hey, is the money really worth it? If you do get the job, these are going to be the challenges. You better be ready for X, Y, Z, coaches. So it's a lot of work. but I look at it from like a business and not a fan. And I don't think maybe until my son maybe one day wants to be a White Sox fan, which might be an awkward conversation.
Why would you make it awkward?
Because
Why?
we're not fans of the team. You watch me watching the Bears. I looked at the schedule before the schedule came out. I said they won 8 games. I don't care who they're playing, and they're probably going to win the division. That's being a fan.
Right.
Like for me, I'm a Bears fan. They can every year. I'm like I'm a
Yeah,
homer.
A homer.
Every guy they draft is going to be a Hall
I
of
get it
Famer.
now.
I'm a
I
fan.
understand where you're coming
With
from.
baseball, I'm not a fan.
You're
I'm keeping it real. And how I started following the Tribe was they made the trade. Lindor's trade happens, and I ping a buddy of mine who's in their front office, like not in the front, but he's a scout. And I said, "Man, you guys are dumb.
yeah.
How you guys gonna get little Lindor? Like, you guys are all gonna get fired. Like,
Yeah.
you better be calling for a job." And he's like, "No. They got this kid. Actually, gets compared a lot to your dad, Andres Jimenez." And he's like, and they got Ahmed Rosario. And I'm like, I kind of know about Ahmed, but who's this Jimenez kid? So I started following him. He gets traded. Pandemic happens. I interview him at the time. I was with La Vida Baseball. I interviewed him playing video games, and then we kept playing video games. And of course, we became kind of cool. And that season, I started following him, and I was like, again, you watch the team, and I was like, this team's kind of fun to watch. Terry Francona's a good manager. They're fast. And then last year when the White Sox were good,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
the Tribe's really good. And they got,
Frank
I love
Gore.
Naylor, so I love Josh Naylor. So I was like, this is
Yeah.
a perfect combination. So what? People are like, you're a Tribe fan. So Ozzie has a joke in NBC. He kept saying 2 years ago, peekaboo, because I used to be saying like, the Tribe's a peekaboo team.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna keep popping up and like hiding, and like no one's expecting them to be good. They signed Ramirez, and last year they obviously had a great year, and obviously I celebrated it a little bit too much, I think, because this year they're horrible.
Trash.
They're trash. They're trash this year. But again, I follow teams in that sense, and I follow more baseball now than I used to when I was with the White Sox. Because when I was with the White Sox, I was 100% focused on the team, and I did the broadcasting. But again, I said my son because if he becomes a fan, he wants to go see the team. Dude, the greatest White Sox player of all time is Frank Thomas. His son goes to Cubs game and wears Cubs gear. If Ozzie's grandson wants to wear Cubs gear,
All right.
I'm gonna
On that
Frank.
note, Ozzie, thank you.
No, I'm
I
just being
appreciate it. I'm
honest.
going to go ahead and go have a
No,
seat.
but hey, so he picks again. His grandfather's a Cubs fan. So if my son's like, hey, I want to be I want to be a White Sox fan, it's like, okay, dude, I'll go to the games with you. So I'm probably gonna root with him. So it's probably the only, probably. I think if Ozzie's number gets retired, I think it'd be hard not to be a White Sox fan.
I would
that's all
hope
it's
that
gonna take.
I would hope that they in the next 10 years retire. No. It's
you,
worthy.
When you talk about the business side of things, the White Sox choose to sign or hire Pedro Grifol to be their manager this year. They interviewed your dad again to be the manager.
I don't know why.
That's what I wanted to get to is how would you personally have felt about that? Did you want him to be the manager again if they had asked him to be it, or did you not want any part of that at all?
Oh, I think that I wanted him to be the manager because I think how he left the White Sox was not the right way, the way that he wanted to go out. It was about contract and disputes. It was a money situation. They didn't want him there anymore. He wanted money, so it worked out. Both the divorce had to happen. I think there's no one. Ozzie is with the White Sox through and through, and I think it's not because he managed the team. I think because he played for the team, and he feels that. So when Pedro says comments like, "I know what this jersey's about," I know it makes guys in the white that are really about the White Sox that wore the jersey like, dude, what do you know about that jersey? You don't know nothing about that jersey.
Right.
But I'm going to talk now from a perspective of, can you swear in the show?
Yeah.
What the fuck were they thinking? Mantra. And it's because I love, Jerry Reinsdorf is probably one of top 5 guys that I admire from a business standpoint. And Jerry and I have conversations with everything that we talk about except baseball. We don't touch baseball at all. So I have a high admiration. I think Kenny's one of the smartest guys in the game of baseball for 30 years, so he knows his business. So there's guys in there that I hold to a high standard of the game, including guys like Brooks Boyer and Scott Wright, guys that are like in the business, guys that I intern for them. So when they called him, they said, "Hey, my dad's like, they want to interview me," and I said, "Why?" I said, "If they interview you, the job is yours.
They should hire you."
Well, that's what I'm saying. And they're like, he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Oh, people don't get this. My dad's very baseball smart. When it comes to business, and that's not his world. My dad's street smart, baseball smart. I have MBA education. Like my background is something completely different. And I said, from a business standpoint, it makes no sense. Why would they want to interview you and let everybody know in Chicago who are already off they're already nuts? There's 50% of the fan base that automatically, even if you're the worst choice, you could be in a wheelchair, and be senile, and they're gonna be like, well, he's the right guy just because he wants. So they're gonna want you.
Biden.
Hey, correct. I told him, it's like a Donald Trump, Biden, Obama effect. Obama can come, any president that has won an election, who it was good times. There's a base for the White Sox that's going to come back, and there's going to be that nostalgic feel of like, this guy did it for us. So 50% of the fan base, when they brought his name up, they were like, that's him.
Right.
No clue. They had no clue what Ozzie was doing. Ozzie could have been under a bridge being a meth head, and they would have been like, he's the guy, we're bringing him. Then, to make it more interesting, he's on NBC now for, at that point, 3 years. So he is doing pregame and postgame, talking about the team after the fact. So you're always going to sound smarter because you're like, I wouldn't have done that. Simple. So I'm like, why would they interview you? To then, everyone's going to know they interviewed you. To then people can watch you on TV to critique the guy and the team that people think that you should have had. So from a business standpoint and what they were thinking, I still have no clue what their move was to try to interview him. And Kenny didn't interview him. The interview was done by the other guys. But I'm still shocked of why they interviewed him.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're like, what, you're going to tell Ozzie, like, how do you construct your lineup?
Right.
Like
he's already won you a World Series.
like you know the guy, you know the good, you know the bad, you know the ugly. He knows where the bodies are buried. You know where his bodies are buried. Like, so that was very surprising. I think Pedro Grifol, from what we know now, he was the manager 2 months before it happened. The Kansas City connections are way too strong, which is, again, he's a great baseball guy. But I think every other thing was a rumor. I think that he was the guy from a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of fans that push back on the idea of Ozzie being the manager because it's a meatball idea to bring this guy back because he won your World Series, but it's past his
Well, I love
time.
the connection. I love when they say, we like Grifol because there's no connection to anybody. I'm like,
Right,
really?
right.
Where's Chris Getz from? Oh,
And-
Kansas
and-
City.
And my whole point, like last year when it felt like Tony La Russa had kind of reached the end of his line, when it felt like it reached the end of his line with Tony La Russa, I'm like, this team needs a spark, and I always felt like Ozzie was that type of guy. Is he going to be the greatest analytical manager? No, that's not what he is. What he is he takes the attention off the rest of the guys.
But that's a mistake people make. Bruce Bochy right now is managing. I don't think Bruce Bochy owns a computer. Okay?
Right.
The job of the manager is not to worry about the analytics. You have coaches for that. When you're the manager, you're not working with the linemen on hitting drills. You have a line coach.
Managing
So-
personalities.
Alex Cintron's the hitting coach of the most analytical team in MLB. Alex Cintron, I know him very well. Trust me, he ain't analytical. He probably counted to 20. He better have his shoes off and his hands completely free. Because I know analytics. Because everyone that works analytics in baseball is the guys that are not working in real corporate American analytics. So it's like, in baseball, it's like, you got one eye, you're like the smart, you're like, he's got the best eyesight when it comes to things like that. So when it comes to managers, just tell me, the part that I thought it was funny was the selling it to me. Number one, people pretending that they knew who Pedro Grifol was. He's a great, I'm like, you don't even know who the guy was. He was in Kansas City. Stop lying.
Right.
You did not know who he was, and it's okay. I was like, wait, Pedro Grifol. I was like, wait. Because I think people don't know this. He's a great GM tracker. He was on track to be a general manager, and then he switched his career, but he's a great baseball guy. But that part, I was very surprised on how he was trying to be sold. Like, you pick him, but don't sell him like he was a coach in the World Series team. I was like, no, he was a bullpen coach. He was a coach in the last year's team. So that part, to me, when they try to sell something on a manager, just say, hey, man, this guy's a brand new guy, and it is what it is, and sell it for what it is, and not for something that is not. And that happened with David Ross. Like, oh, David Ross is here because he's friends with the guys. David Ross is here because they're looking for a guy who knows the organization, who knew the players that were there at the time. Who, by the way, if we have a rebuild, who would be a guy that could, mesh this and not let it go completely south.
David Ross was a part of a couple rebuilds in Cincinnati and Boston.
Yeah. So that's the part where people talk about when it comes to Ozzie of coaches and X's and O's. I think that in the
You getting a little chubby,
in
a little chilly.
in the managing world,
Chubby and a little chill.
I think when you're managing, I think that
It's always cold for you.
it's it's not that even. It's not that. I think that that's the least of the worries of can Ozzie manage. And we had our worries, man. Like, can you manage? Managing Ozzie was very good with dudes that were like dudes. Like feelings were not hurt. Okay, feelings were not hurt at all. So he was very good with guys that feelings were not hurt. I'm good.
Crown and Coke, please. Yeah, Crown Royal. You just
Yeah,
got a shout out.
he is that cover. Yeah, he's
Send
got
the
some free.
check.
Send the check. No, so I'm saying like one of our worries was can he manage to because he managed winter ball, so he had to manage a bunch of younger players there. Rocchio, the guy who just got called up, and Arias were both on this team over there. But the whole thing is like, could Ozzie, get on a player and the player accept it and not have any issues and be okay with it? That was a big concern. But I think that's any manager's concern. Pedro, Tony, Ozzie. But you know what, man? It's been made. It was a great situation for him because it was like, if I get the job, amazing. If I don't get the job, I'm doing the job that I really, really love to do. Because Ozzie, people think that Ozzie just showed up and they called him and said, "Hey, you want to do TV?" And they're like, "This Ozzie was on ESPN for 7 years, working to get a shot at ESPN. Okay, flying every Sunday to Connecticut, okay, during the season to do Spanish and English and just so he can get a shot at NBC, and he got it. So it's like, you have a job that you could have for the next, 40 years and be a legend and everyone, never boo you ever again. Or you might take a job and completely fail in 3 years. I feel bad for Robin. Robin Ventura now, anytime they say Robin's name is a negative. Like,
I love Robin.
I'm saying no, but everyone remembers now his managerial time instead of his playing time. So that was one thing that we were concerned about for Ozzie. Like, if he comes back, unless he wins, it's going to be like a humongous failure.
If Nolan Ryan ever walks in Chicago, I will fuck him up.
No, by the way, the words Nolan Ryan and you anything up, Nolan Ryan will break you into. You better have like
this
two.
day.
Nolan will
this day.
destroy you. Nolan's like old man strength.
Set it up.
By the way, what do you guys call it? Dad power?
Yeah.
Okay,
dad
you
power.
want to talk about dad power?
Nolan Ryan, if you hear this, get in the octagon.
By the way, Nolan Ryan will destroy you.
Can we talk about something?
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about something. I want to talk about pitchers in the Chicago White Sox organization, and not for nothing on the north side, right? I want just because we're in Chicago. Greg, our good friend Greg, has let us come on his show.
Good brother Greg.
No, I'm not doing that. Greg is on the show. But here's the thing: I was in the park yesterday. Shout out to the Chicago White Sox. Thank you for a wonderful time for the season ticket holders. This much should have been there, but he wasn't. He should have been there walking the field for the parade and everything like that. That was the greatest experience of my life. But outside of that, I was able to watch Michael Kopech put together an outstanding outing. He was touching 97 from the first pitch, 97. And then I think last year we got kind of spoiled with the pitching staff doing what they do. And then this year, this guy's team is over there and they're freaking shoving. Smiley, Stroh.
Jameson Talion got shoved today. I'll tell you that.
Well, his dad, Stroman.
Yeah, that's Stroman. Yeah. Well, the thing I want to talk about is that
taller than him.
I want to ask the panel. I want to ask Greg, Justin, Ozzie Jr. When you look at a pitcher and you see a guy that if you look at you brought up baseball savant earlier, but you're talking about a guy that's a four-seam fastball pitcher like Michael Kopech, right? Or a guy that has a hammer like freaking Stroh does. You got a guy that can pitch 3 pitches. When you send him out there, are you telling him to pitch differently to each person you see, or are you telling him just to hit the strike zone like every time?
You know what's funny about that? And again, when you grew up around the game of baseball, thank God that Ozzie was not brought back to Chicago because I would have never been around. At that point, it was like Alex Fernandez, great pitcher, but like Jamie Navarro. When we went to Atlanta, I was like, oh, this is a staff. Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. I was a little older, so now I'm getting. So they used to have team meetings, and when you do a scouting report, the scouting report is based on the batter. So they're like, Jose Ramirez does not hit a changeup. So in theory, everybody should throw a changeup to him in certain situations. John Smoltz in the Atlanta Braves at that time, they didn't believe in that. They were like, his best pitch is his two-seamer. My best pitch is a slider. His best pitch is a changeup. He should throw the changeup. He should throw his two seamers. I should throw my slider because he's hitting changeups. He doesn't hit changeups because it's somebody else's changeup. But if my changeup sucks, he's gonna hit that ball in the
Facts.
So I'm pitching to my strengths. So I think that when you're a pitcher, you have to know your strengths. But here's the biggest difference, and this is where Cease had the biggest growth, and Kopech really had it last night. And guys that are more veterans have it. You have the talent, but when you take the mound and you go warm up in the pen, some days, like when you get up to work in the morning, you just don't have it, but you still have to survive. And if that day is your two-seamer and you have to adapt throughout the game, those are the great ones can do that. When you see guys that are struggling that have great stuff, it's because their game plan does not work, and they're like, they just keep throwing it and it just keeps getting killed. That's where Cease was last year. So I think this year, when the growth is, can I adapt to the game plan of how I feel? Like I saw guys that were like curveballs out there today, not throwing, and you're like, and so guys they adapt. And the older you get, it's easier for guys to do that. That's where I saw Michael Kopech last night. Meaning obviously he looks healthy, throwing the ball really well. But I think when it comes to competitiveness, one thing I don't like about Baseball Savant and this new world of like, which is great, I love the analytics. I hate the hard dudes on Twitter, okay, throwing a bullpen with no clothes on, okay?
You hate hard dudes throwing a bullpen with
No. Guys are like, no, it's like guys wearing like a thong or like shorts, no shirt on.
Oh!
Dude, look at everybody. My guy Please like does it all the time, like no shirt, he's on there all winter, and it's like throwing a bullpen, and it's like, oh, he's doing it. Gonzo, he's doing amazing. Look at his changeup, his ball rotate like this. I'm like, there's no hitter.
He's free balling.
Nobody's hitting.
Rotate.
There's
He's
no.
got a thong on.
By the way,
Gonzo.
no one's hitting him. There's nobody in the stands. He's in a room with his buddies, probably pumping music, throwing one session, maybe 15 pitches.
Right.
He's amazing right now. I want to see him full uni. It's 39 degrees.
Absolutely.
Your wife just gave you crap on the way to the stadium.
Right.
You know, your taxes are delayed.
I told you that Ozzie
You know
Jr.
what I
was
mean?
no
Like
good.
the real drama of like a game. Then you got some dude that's hitting like 330, trying to take you deep. That's when I want you to make the adjustments.
I like what you
And,
said.
and now the
deep in the
pitching
ball.
ninjas all like, oh, look at his rotation. So you got a guy throwing the balls like, oh, his rotation is like, no. Can he do it in the game? So like last night for Kopech, that's the positives I was seeing. I was like, man. Or if a guy's getting hit,
Yeah.
okay, but his velocity's there and his rotation is okay. Is he tipping? So I look more for like arm health, and then is there something in his game plan that's not working? Because the game that we went to, the Giants, the batting practice game, you
Yeah.
could tell 2 seconds watching the game, like they got his pitches. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you'd look that comfortable versus
Yeah.
someone like
They were
Kopech.
tearing him up. I was at that game.
Kopech, he looks scary, but he is, when he pitches and he's on, the speeds that he's throwing. Ozzie said it last night. People thought Ozzie's such an idiot. He's like, I'm a lefty. I'd rather face Kopech. I'd rather face Cease than Kopech. It's like, why, Mike? Because Kopech is that much nastier.
Yeah.
Not to know, Kopech has control problems. He might let one go and put it in the back of your ear. Cease is like,
You got to think about it.
yeah. So it's like you're going up there thinking about it. And by the way, if fans that don't think that players go up there and look at a guy warm up and are like, oh man, this guy's out of control, or this guy can do. Players go up and say, I gotta face this dude. This dude's a nut. This guy has no control. He might drill me. Guys think that it's just the reality. But I look at arm health. That's my number one thing when I'm looking at a staff is arm health. And I'm more concerned with guys like Kopech, Crochet, Cease
Yeah.
because of the future of the team, more than like Lynn or Giolito at this point because he's going to be traded probably.
Right.
But I concern myself with because that's the future.
Am I on your phone?
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought up the fact that like, you know, the pitchers in Atlanta, which is by far when we talk about pitching, we go
Kevin Millwood was the 4.
exactly. Kevin Mill was the 4 on that staff, so that's kind of crazy. Outstanding. Good signing right there. But Millwood was the 4, but that staff they pitched to their strengths.
Yep.
And I think that last night what I witnessed was Ethan Cat saying, "Hey, Mike, hit the strike zone at whatever velocity you can get it to, and do not miss the strike zone." And he did that all night.
Well,
It was pop,
look at how
pop,
many
pop,
guys took
and
a
his
4-seamer right down the middle for strike 3 last night.
Or,
It was
or,
crazy.
or guys like Salvador Perez swinging 3-0
Yeah.
and a down 2-0. I always have you gotta give, and this is not analytical, as people are like, oh, did a pitching coach. Don Cooper used to be like, look at the scoreboard. If a guy's hitting back then, now it's everybody hits 210.
That's my wife.
But if a guy looks up and you're like, I told CSSCs, look up. If a guy's hitting like 190, look at him and be like, "You're trash. I'm
That
attacking
ass
you.
is mine.
If you take me deep, that's on me. But I'm giving you no."
Whoa!
A lot of guys now pitch. Like the guys like you're facing the league's MVP. I understand if you're cautious if it's like a Shohei Ohtani, like, oh man, it's a Shohei Ohtani. But like, look at the lineup and you're like, I have no respect for you. And that's what he was doing to Kansas City. Kansas City was pitched to last night like they had no respect for them.
Okay,
With-
that's what
no
I felt.
consent.
That's what I felt.
And no
It
consent.
felt like you were just like, you know
But
what?
that's
Here it
what
is.
you need. That attitude. Worst slogan in the history, and White Sox have had a lot of bad slogans. So to change the game, I hated it.
It was change the fucking channel.
No,
the
because
first month of the season.
I hated it. No, I hated it because they built that attitude on paper. They wanted the marketing. They wanted to build the attitude and the character of the team on paper instead of letting those guys just go and do their job.
Right.
Kopech, what he did, that was what Grifol said. The words we're gonna stick without saying those words. That's what he did. So
We're
you
gonna
build
prepare
to keep
every
your ass in
night.
it. Like you look at Kansas
your
City.
ass.
You look at Kansas City in the tunnel, and you look at them, and you're like, you're not worthy to be in the same baseball field as us. And it might be cocky, but
But they need that.
to be a winning team,
They need that.
that's the attitude.
Absolutely.
That's the attitude.
I
You're like,
agree.
you're not worthy to be with us. So that type of game is we're just here to do business, and you're just a 3 games in our schedule. We're just looking at the next series. That's the type of attitude they need to have.
So, Greg,
That's
Well,
what means winners.
how many times has teams fallen victim to what you're talking about? The change the game, media marketing strategy. You get a little hype. A team plays well for 1 year, and then you roll it into next year thinking, we're just going to hype this up, and it's all just going to roll the same. The 2019 Bears, after the infamous double doink, they spent all off season
Win or
saying,
die trying.
Right.
Ozzie was a part of that one.
right, and the Bears spent all off season saying,
I
hey,
miss Alex Rios.
all we need is a kicker. Now
We're
that
good.
Cody's gone, and we're good. And then what they do, they
That was
fall flat.
that was a hard winter for
right.
me.
They fall flat on their face. And so many times in this city, short of Michael Jordan, who was the only guy that understood that you had to come in every year with that killer
and do shit.
mentality.
Yes.
And I didn't do it. Last year was last year. I haven't done anything starting now. And this Sox team, it just felt like, especially last year, you come in with this change the game crap. The intro
Crap?
to start the season is like, we're gonna win the World Series or bust. You gotta earn that. You gotta earn just getting to the playoffs. Then when you get to the playoffs, it's a whole nother season.
Big beard. What up, Kool-Aid? Hey, but you know what? You know why that's true? Because fans don't know this. So baseball, MLB is like high school, man. Teams know what's
It's
going
the
on,
party.
and they make fun of you. And last year when Cleveland won, that's why they did the chanting,
Right.
because they were making fun of them.
Right.
And it's because they're making
Bears
fun
got
of
made fun of Club Dog.
Yeah, you know, like they make fun of you because I remember what year was it? Big Z. Big Z's my boy, and he said, "Because we're winning the World Series." I said, "That's it. Pack that boy in." That you can't predict. You can't go off and do that. You always have to have the mentality. This is something the Sox are missing. So your talent and your production has nothing to do with your paycheck. In sports, specifically in baseball, that's something that people don't understand. Every day you take the field, in order for you to be great, you have to play like this season is your last season. 2 years ago, I was a batting champion. I was a home run hitter. I was a silver slugger. So I feel like this team specifically, at times, they're like, well, they're going to be great because they were a top prospect. They were, they played well 4 years ago.
Can I be completely honest?
Funny man in the house. Got to give Funny Man a shout out. How we doing? Oh, yeah, I recognize you. Come on now. Big fan. Big fan. Funny man all day long. I know you're not, but you're a Funny Man legend. It's a different story. She was in a great band. She's moved on to bigger and better things. All good. Shout out to you. We'll see you later. What? I'm giving shout outs. Anyway, we're moving on. Back to what we were talking about.
So I just think that the building the character part of and again, Ozzie was hated for this a lot. I remember when Ozzie was a skipper, Gordon Beckham said he wanted to be the next Derek Jeter. And Ozzie looked at it and said, why doesn't Gordon Beckham worry about being the next Ozzie Guillen? And as a joke, and people are like, oh, Ozzie's so jealous. I'm like, the guy played 14 years in the team at the position he's trying to play. Maybe you want to listen to it, and maybe you want to
Just a little
No,
bit.
I'm saying like maybe his mood. Maybe you want to bring his mood down. We wouldn't trade him for Longoria straight up. that I joke around with him. My boy Daniel Pauca hit 25 home runs, okay, and he couldn't find a hit the following year. Baseball's a very humbling game. So just because you did it the year before, there's dudes that I'm like, okay, I'll pencil in 100, like Aramis Ramirez back in the day, like Soriano, 130. Why?
Igor,
They did 100. They did it. People are like, oh, this who cares how you did it? They still did 130. Like every year, Frank Thomas was like rolling out of bed. Guess what he was thinking? Oh, Frank's hitting third, driving in 100, 30 home runs, because they did it year after year after year. Until you have that level of confidence, you cannot just go out and be like, he's gonna just do it just
You
because.
take it for granted.
You take it for granted.
What it takes to be a Hall of Famer
and now
in baseball.
hey,
the
now
hardest
more.
sport to make it in the Hall of Fame.
Now even more, because it's funny, because these analytical crazies, okay, the ones that are nuts about it,
Like Trae.
it's even harder now. No, you know why? It's even harder now. Why? Bullpen guys are more specialized, okay? So everyone's throwing 90 plus, 91, 93 is like very low now. Every team knows where you're going to hit the ball, okay? Before it was like, if your player was smart, he shift. Now, literally, everyone knows where you're hitting the ball. So now it's harder to compete, because you're up pitching and you wiggle a toe, okay, on a certain pitch. The scouting report is going to say, hey, he wiggles his toes and looks into the stands. We think it's a slider.
If you Deion Sanders, you ain't wiggling a toe.
Oh, because you don't got no toe. Correct. But again, I think the level of information is just that much harder, and it just becomes that much harder for you to adapt and for you to be great. Just for a lot of reasons, and being able to stay on the field is one of them. But I think it's really hard to earn it, day in and day out. And I think this team and the fans and the media, I don't even see the players, because the players were only a part of it. They basically said, hey, these guys are going to win the division. These guys are going to do X, Y, and Z. And they didn't really earn it. And in baseball, in most sports, you have to go in and earn it. And that's just and when Ozzie came as a manager, that was a big issue. Every year they went to spring training, it was like, the Sox are better than the Twins. And you're like, but the Twins have win the division every year. How are we better? Well, we got to better this. We got Maglio. We got Carlos Lee. And Ozzie was like, wait, they're better on paper. We're better on paper, but they win more games.
All the Twins needed to win the division was Johan Santana, Brad Radke, and Alexi Casilla, and a little bit of Torrey Hunter.
But correct. But again, you can't. People buy. The Tampa Bay Rays are the exact example of how to be great and not have to have a guy that makes $300 million. For example, Ohtani and Mike Trout are teammates, and they suck. So you can have great players. If you don't play as a team,
Correct.
You're gonna struggle. And that's a part where I think that we get so obsessed with like the names. Like, dude, like why don't we replace Jose Valentin? Go look up his numbers when they replaced him.
Right.
Because he was a better fit. Why? Well, he's better than Valentin at defense.
Toronto Blue Jays in 2023 just dropped 4-6 at home, and they're a really good team.
They're a very, very good team.
Well,
That's also because of the analytical manager and the pitching coach forgot they visited the mound twice.
Well, that's what we were talking about with the 2005.
Idiot.
That's what we were talking about with the 2005 White Sox team. It felt like they all had career years. Aaron Rowan, Carlos Lee, Joe Creedy, Tadahito Gucci, Scott Podsednik, AJ Pierzynski. They all come from these different places and all come together. But what it is it's contagious. Good or bad baseball is contagious.
Productive outs was the key in that team. If you grab that team and take away the trophy, okay, and just go look at stats, just straight up stats, okay, other than like obviously the dudes, PK, Jermaine's following year was better. The myth, my guy. You talk to anybody in the south side of Chicago, you think they're talking about Willie Mays. Aaron Rowan. Oh, look at Aaron's numbers. Led the team in double plays, ground ball double plays, a rally killer. They used to joke with him, but he played good defense. Okay, played really hard, made productive outs. But when you look at him, if he's on a World Series team, people would have been like, he had a horrible year, and he didn't, because all the other guys, everyone was just balanced. The New York Yankees in the '90s, the team that the best team in my opinion put together that won 3 World Series, went to 4. They never had a guy hit over 30 home runs. Every single guy hit 20, but they were very good all around. So you have to. they've had those players, man. They had Chris Sale almost be a Cy Young. They had Jose Abreu almost be an MVP. You cannot win with just one player. You need to have a balance and be able to be productive because on games like Kansas City, and this is where it's not fun for me, like, and I'm not a fan and I watch it from a different level. I'm not just looking at the score 5-3. I'm like, oh, run on a second, didn't move him over. That's going to cost him 3. So even during the Rick Renteria rebuild, the people are like, Ricky's boys don't, because like, Ricky's boys suck. Ricky's boys don't move the runner over. Ricky's boys don't drive the runner from third. Ricky is like a dad that's confused. Like,
OJ.
Hey, don't break curfew. Your kid's like smoking crack in the thing with his friends. Like Ricky was awesome, but he couldn't control him. No, I'm just saying though, Ricky was awesome, but it was like he had no control, and he was like he whip him and he bench him, and Eloy's like half shirtless hitting BP. The other guy's like wearing shorts, and people thought this was cool. And I was like, this is cool when you're a shitty team. When they need to win, and the pressure's on, Eloy quit on him. You think
the culture that Dallas was talking about?
Okay, do you think that Jermaine died? Frank played on one leg, literally in pain for half the season, and got them to where they needed to be. And he literally was like, "You cannot play anymore. You'll end up like in a wheelchair." You think Jermaine Dye in Oakland leaves the game in the middle of the game because he can't run?
Hell no.
Eloy, you can't run when you can run. You stay in the game just for your bat. So if you told us that you're ready to play, you're playing till you're going down. So that was the culture. When I saw Eloy, people were like, "Oh, he's hurt." I was like, "Oh, that's not good." And that's his boy. Ricky Renteria is this guy. If he's gonna, oh, my leg hurts, I gotta come out. I said, maybe he's not that close to him, but I know from experience, guys that are for real, they're gonna like, I'm gonna come out of this. We're in the playoffs. Like you're making me not play. So that's where I think that Pedro right now, that's what he needs to build these guys. Pantera, okay. I said on the show, I actually want to bet. I said first guy Grifol goes after is Pantera. Why? Why wouldn't he? Pantera's been in the big leagues less than 3 years. Everyone's trying to treat him like he's Willie Mays. Right. You got to come in on him.
He's going to be Willie Mays. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
He might be Willie Mays. By the way, he'll be Willie Mays when Willie Mays is 60. It's like Willie Mays when he was with the Mets. The last year, I think he was the Mets. No, but I'm saying like I think Colas, Pantera, Berger, Sheets. He really has an opportunity to make them his guys. With Ozzie, when the problems started happening, like with the JP, which is funny, Ozzie made the quote, "This is like when you have a family and then you're like, all your kids are 13 and you just bring in like a 15-year-old that you've never raised and put him living in your household and it's telling your kids to do everything you told them not to do." Right. That's what he was like. I've had Mark. Ozzie never managed a game in the big leagues without Mark Burley. Mark Burley actually called him and said, "If you get the managing job, I will activate myself and be your coach because you cannot be in a bench without me." And when he didn't get the job, he's like, I understand you probably wanted the job, but I'm very happy you didn't because I know you're going to be like miserable, and that you're not going to have me as your player." So those were his guys. You know, Garland was like 2 years in the big leagues at the moment, 3 years. Rowan, like, so they really meshed to him. And then when AJ came, AJ never had a guy in the White Sox as a manager. Carl Everett, these were all Ozzie's guys. And I think that right now, looking in the future, these guys have to be Pedro's guys. Like, they're young enough. Like David Ross with the Cubs, those are his guys. Rossi's guys that are there. Yep. Swanson looks and he's
losers.
Like, he looks at Joe Maddon's like, oh yeah, the guy that managed here. Like, he only knows Ross. Like, he doesn't know everything that they play is like a jumbotron stuff. The guys that Nico and all those guys, that's David Ross's culture. Yeah. I like when that happens because it's like your dude. So they can't come in 2 years and say, well, this other guy, this is their dude. Like, they need to, Pedro's here for 3 years. It would be extremely immature and extremely wrong to fire him anytime soon. They need to ride him out and see what they got.
You made the bet, and he lit a fire under Robert, right? He's been playing much better. So, hey, now you've got young players like Ozzie Jr.'s pointed out. They're still young. People forget that.
Pantera's a stud. If you put Pantera right now to get people are like, trade him. I'm like, oh, wait, you're going to replace him with who?
No one.
Pantera's like, I look at Colas, for example.
Dwayne Wise, what you doing?
And I'm like, hey, no, people are like, oh, Colas. I'm like, oh, future first baseman. I look at him, and they're like, you're so mean. I'm like, dude, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. almost won a Silver Slugger. He might have won it at third base. And I said, hey, dude, you're going to first. Like, Miguel Cabrera.
And then he wins the Gold Glove at first.
And then, again, but it happens. When you look at a body, unless this kid goes and eats a salad every single, like, he's just going to get big. Like,
he ain't on that Lance Lynn
dude,
plan.
He's a Latino guy. I know his diet. Like, even if he wants to keep the weight off, like, he's going to want to gain weight to hit power. he's going to end up as a first baseman. So like with Pantera, you're like, oh, dude, this guy's a center fielder now. Worst case scenario, left, right in the future.
You're driving, Ray.
He's signed for a couple years. I'm a big Pantera guy. I don't like when White Sox fans get on Pantera because I really think that he is that he's got a bright future. But it's funny because people think that Jake Berger came from like a flea market and Gavin Sheets. I'm like, he was a first rounder and a second rounder. They're supposed to be good.
He came from the College World Series.
Yeah, like they came prepared. Yeah, they came very prepared. So people think like, yes, he had some injuries, but I was like, he was projected to be a very. The only guy that they can project that wasn't supposed to be as good as he is Tim Anderson. But Tim Anderson got picked like, this kid's athletic. We're gonna take a shot at him. But the round that he got picked in, you're not like, oh, this guy's gonna be an everyday MLB player, and that's a big win, I think, for them. The fact that I had him in left field 4 years ago. I was like, move him to left field. And after 4 years ago, he started getting better. I was like, he's a shortstop. He can. And I think Tim, I talked to a very prominent instructor fielding, and Ozzie believes it too. That if Tim works with the right guys, and Tim obviously puts the work in and does it what he's supposed to do, that he has the athletic ability to be better and actually be a very, very good shortstop, like a defensive elite player, because he has a God-given gift of two things that if you don't have it, you don't have it. Footwork, which is athleticism, and he has got a cannon for an arm.
He has a rocket, and when you Ray, we talked about it earlier. Shawn Dunston, like Tim Anderson is the carbon copy of Shawn Dunston.
He's a better shortstop than Shawn.
Yeah, well, 100%.
And OJ, I was going to ask you, like, some of the balls that Tim gets to, become errors.
I don't care when he makes those errors, though. I hate the errors.
A lot of guys wouldn't even get to those balls.
No. So I don't care about the errors that he makes, like in the hole. Those are like balls. Those are just
got a whole different family. You talk about errors made in the hole.
No, I'm just. By the way,
don't listen to
you know what? I'm gonna address that right now. This whole thing on Twitter, I'm gonna address it right now on the show, and people can listen to me. Those whole thing on Twitter about Tim Anderson having off the field problems, guys. This is 2023.
We're human.
Having issues in your personal life, the ones that he had, is problems for him and his family. That is not having athletic problems. Okay, getting caught with like 19 guns and like 2 donkeys and like 25 kilos of cocaine. That is a problem.
You're telling your business.
Tim Anderson missing half a season because he has to go to rehab. That is a problem.
Right.
That whatever he did, that is not a. People are like, that's a problem. Like, no, it's not. Like, that is nothing of his concern. I was like, I saw a guy win an MVP going through a divorce, a public one, and he won MVP. Like, that's his personal life. And by the way, guys, 25 guys on a roster, it happens in baseball. There's probably a guy on a team getting divorced. Just mathematics. 25 guys, somebody's probably, it's just do the math.
I'm sorry, Ian.
No, I'm just saying, just do the math. So for him, I hate when people talk about his personal problems, like, oh, he's got problems. They're not problems. I think that for him, the part that I wish that he got better, number one, never play Cleveland, because last year he made 10 out of his 16 errors against the Tribe.
Did you hear Tom Hamilton earlier this week?
Because because all Tom Hamilton's seen is Timmy make errors. Like, he had the game where he had the 3. I think number one, I don't know if it's sometimes mental lapses, like he gets mad, which happens, and then he makes like the last one he makes very simple errors. The only part that when you make simple errors is usually in a really big play, so it gets magnified more. So I actually liked him when he's going to go make the aggressive plays. I worry about him when it's like the sure out. That and the thing we're talking about with Ozzie, I think the Tribe thing is that he might think that the guys are going to run out of the box really hard, and he's not trusting his arm, so he tries to hurry up, and then he makes an error.
Toronto had the same problem with Bo Bichette.
Yeah,
Bo Bichette was a really good athlete. He could make the highlight reel play, but the routine stuff.
Yeah, the right to you, the right to you. So I think with him, with that, I'm not worried about it. I think that he is. Man, we looked at the blackout. We looked at the show. We looked at the numbers of other guys that could potentially replace him. The last great shortstop on the market was taken by the Cubs.
We got some light for
which
Trae.
Was Swanson. The last free agent shortstop that the Sox should have gotten was Swanson. So I don't think moving TA right now, like today, is a good move at all.
Well, and people talk about this, that, and the other with the errors. When you watch him at the World Baseball Classic, I thought he had a great.
Where was he hitting in the Baseball World Classic?
Right. That just kind of goes.
If Tim Anderson, White Sox fans are going to cry right now. if Tim Anderson puts on a different jersey, in 97% of the teams that are contending today, he is not leading off.
He can lead off for the Red Sox.
Okay, I said the top contending teams. Why is
What
the
do
Red
you
Sox?
mean?
I'm just saying, why is the Red? And by the way, my friend's the manager. I just think, again, I think that for majority of the
The
teams,
Red Sox
by the
are
way,
contending.
he would drive in 100 runs, I think, if he hit in the sixth spot. You know why? You know who's good with runner on third base?
Tim Anderson.
Or very, very, very good. So I think, like, if you put Timmy runner on third base, ground ball second base, he's going to put the ball in play. He's not going to strike it out. I like him, again, he wants to lead off. It's a great, but I think if he hits 6, I think that, number one, guys, he has one less at bat, so his average would obviously get helped a lot. But I think that from a production standpoint, when he was in Team USA and he was surrounded with great players, you saw how much greater he could be because he is hitting in a different spot. This is a difference, man. When he was in Team USA, people were not trying to get Tim Anderson out. There's so many guys that you're like the Derek Jeter effect. Nobody's going to come to get Derek Jeter out. When teams come to play the White Sox, trust me, he's on that top 3 hit list of like, we need to keep Tim off the base.
Oh, well, you got to think about it. The White Sox haven't had momentum in the last 2 years. That's been their problem offensively. And when you get Tim Anderson out to start a game, that does so much for your not only your defense, but your starting pitching because it takes the load off. I don't have to worry about checking on a guy at first base with these new pitch clock rules. And another thing is you got guys like Andrew Vaughn, the greatest cleanup hitter in Chicago sports history, Yohan Moncada. Those guys are neutralized when you're facing them with the bases empty. Like, to go back to 2005, Jermaine Dye, Paul Konerko, and even Carl Everett always hit with runners in scoring position. OJ, you talked about the productive out. A lot of the analytic nerds and idiots who are trying to ruin baseball for me would rather you have 0 for 2 with 2 walks than 0 for 2 with 2 RBIs.
What happened? I have a question. What happened a couple of days ago? Grandal got a hit. Then Jake got a hit. And then somebody else got a hit. And nobody scored.
Have a good evening. Have a good evening.
And nobody scored. Why? Because when you get on base, you need to be able to move through the bases. So it's not when analytical guys go out there and say, just get on base. By the way, when Ozzie was a manager, people, one time they brought him a lineup that had Jim Thome leading off, and he was like, whoever sent this down should just fire themselves. Because Jim Thome, well, he's the best leadoff, and he's like, yes, and he's the best second hitter, and he's the best third hitter, and he's the best fourth hitter because he's the best hitter on the team. Wherever I hit him, he will be amazing. So people getting on base it's just not about getting on base. It's getting on base. Okay, so if Tim Anderson, which I think has the God-given ability to steal 40-plus bases, if I was not married and didn't have kids and had nothing going on in my life, I would ask Tim Anderson to make me his intern. I'd be his hype man, meaning I'm just your motivational guy. Right. Every day we're like, Tim, you're going to steal 40. Like, this is like, you're going to steal 40. Like, every day. Like, he would be like Willie Mays Hayes, like, we're going to have the batting gloves in the wall because
everything.
Oh, he would steal 40 bases. He doesn't even know how to steal bases, and he's stealing. I'd be like, Tim Raines, we're going to work with you in the winter. Like, we are going to make you're going to change the game on the base paths.
Yeah.
If he starts doing that, okay, then I'm like, oh, you're leading off. The problem with Tim is, and pretty much any leadoff in baseball now that has that ability, is that they're not running. Today he has an excuse because he is hurt. But when he wasn't hurt, I'm like, why isn't Team stealing? Moncada the same way. So if he changed his game, meaning to be more of a stealing the base, then I'm like, keep him at leadoff. But if he's not going to steal, then I just want his RBI production and not have him in a leadoff spot.
Yeah, well, you got to think about
Change his whole approach.
He's never scored, by the way, he's never scored 100 runs.
Tim Anderson?
Tim Anderson has never scored 100 runs, ladies and gentlemen.
Holy shit.
Never scored 100. And even though he had a Abreu, never scored 100. Crazy stat. Crazy, wild stat, the fact that Tim has never scored 100 runs in the big leagues.
Well, that's why he said they don't pay me to get
I didn't know that.
They pay
I
me
didn't know
to
that.
get hits.
Does that speak
How you doing, sir?
Does that speak to Tim
All right.
Anderson's reluctancy to run?
What you guys doing over there?
No, the guys, a little bit of both. I think that Abreu was the only guy driving in runs for the half the time that Tim was there.
Yeah.
But it's just like the potential that he could have because of how he gets on base. So, like, if you put him in a mix, again, this team is better with the team that they have constructed today. If you think they can win without Tim Anderson, you are delusional and know nothing about
a lot
baseball.
of people are
They
delusional.
need, by the way, They need Tim.
Call up Lenine Sosa.
No. They
Yeah.
need Tim bad. That
Oh,
shortstop position is weak.
Elvis had a great year last year.
By the way, Elvis had 2 good months.
He had 2 good months last year. He could play better.
By the way,
Colson Montgomery is ready. Colson Montgomery can't buy me a drink.
Shut up.
By the way, I knew that the White Sox. I knew White Sox fans on Twitter were off.
Just had a good 2 months. They were like,
It was a
By the
bunch
way,
of
I knew White Sox fans were a little off on Twitter when they started saying last year at the end, maybe we should move Tim Anderson and let Elvis play with it. Elvis from my home country. And I said, you're going to try to move a guy that's under 30 years old, who is the all-star and pretty much the second best player on your team and the guy who plays the most games after Jose Abreu and then Moncada in a mix. And you're trying to bring in Elvis Andrus that you picked up from DFA, who is on the back end of his career.
very back end.
Very, very back end.
Oh, here comes Greg.
I said, I was shocked.
Takeover.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
By the way, where's Madrigal for the Cubs? What a steal, man.
Hey, this is a Sox takeover.
By the way,
for a hot second.
by the way, he's mad.
These are all Southsiders right here.
By the way,
Southside.
I'll go with you. By the way, Madrigal. By the way, he's still mad about. Yeah, I'll have to go back and say you guys come back.
I gotta go take a
No,
picture.
we're gonna talk Cleveland. We're gonna talk Tri baseball.
Hurry up. Go take a picture. Tell him you're with me.
We're gonna talk Tri. Now, by the way, how's Madrigal doing for the Cubs?
Only you was with the Cubs, man.
And, you know, at first it was like, hey, he's kind of scrappy. Now it's like, all right, man, if you're gonna.
But by the way, you know how the Cubs are a great organization. They just mean business because they took them like 4 months and like him getting hurt and saying, you know what, I think we need to make some moves for a middle infielder. They didn't let it linger. They were like, hey, we're gonna. And I still think he'll be a big league guy.
He's blown a few stop signs already.
Correct, but again, I think that when he went to the Cubs, and this is the part where I had an issue with Rick Renteria, development. Okay, Nico Horner, for example, great talent. When he came up, he was doing a little couple things that were not big league. Like you're not going to survive doing those things. When Nick was on the Sox, he did a lot of things great, but he was doing a lot of things bad. And no one said, "Hey, man, you're not going to do this on a winning team." You could be a big. People are like, "Oh, I'm like, yeah, you could go play for the Reds and just go play." Like, but when you're trying to win and you're trying to develop a team to win, you have to do certain things a certain way. If not, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And good franchises know that.
No, I like the trajectory they're on. It's disappointing how they played here in May. They need a superstar. I don't know if they're going to get one at trade
Ohtani
deadline.
next year.
I'm begging for it, but I think that's the law.
Ohtani is. I'm going to say this. Ohtani is more realistically in becoming a Chicago Cub than Ozzie Guillen is of ever being a manager of the White Sox.
Well,
And Ozzie got, by the way, and Ozzie got interviewed last year. Again,
Okay.
of any free agent that the White Sox have been rumored, okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Streaming, TV rights,
Right.
okay? Ohtani means the Japanese market.
Yep.
They have the money to get him.
Yep.
They also know that with their capabilities, their technology, and what they have, that they can make that money back.
Yep.
Okay? So that's why realistically, they can sell him. And the fact that they're playing better today, because Ohtani, when he does renegotiate, it's been made already very clear that he wants to go to a team that's going to compete.
Yep.
He's not doing the same thing in Anaheim. So out of the teams in the mix,
Dodgers,
you
Padres,
got to have that TV right. You got to have that deal.
Giants.
And the Cubs own everything.
It's like
on the
all
deal.
the West Coast teams and then the
think
Cubs.
And then the
Cubs.
Cubs. So, realistically,
goes to LA.
by the way, so realistically though, they are in the conversation.
I think they're set up
As Rick
perfectly.
Hahn was
I think
saying,
they're set up perfectly.
they have a seat at the table.
Of course, and he was the Cubs were one of the finalist teams for him when he was coming over. So I think it makes perfect sense. He's going to cost $500 million
He's worth
or
it.
something insane.
Not only
600
not
million.
just because he's a player.
That's the problem.
Shohei Ohtani has a very rare athletic ability that only a few have. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wayne Gretzky, guys like Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali,
Sure.
guys that are
Rarefied.
they're going to come watch them.
Yep.
Mike Tyson can go fight a bear tomorrow, and I'm buying the pay-per-view.
Yep.
Even though I know the bear probably is going to kill him,
Right.
but it's Mike Tyson.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani is a guy that even in the world of baseball, people are just like, I want to see this guy just be there. So fans are buying tickets. I'm staying up at night watching Anaheim, a horrible team, by the way, just to see Ohtani be like, what is he gonna do? He has that impact on like people just want to watch him. My wife knows who Ohtani is. Of
course.
Oh, Ohtani, yeah, the
No,
guy. He does everything. I'm like, my wife knows nothing about baseball, but she knows who Ohtani is. That's the guy. So that guy, regardless of the team, if they win a World Series or not, people will watch him because he is on that team.
He's a blockbuster, and you're right about the Tyson comparison because, like, I might fight
10
Trae.
years,
I might
500
fight
deal.
Trae in the parking lot tonight, but nobody's gonna watch it but Ian. But if
Ian's gonna help
Tyson fights Trae in the parking lot tonight, all of Northwest
Mike
Indiana's gonna
Tyson
show up.
is again. I'm sitting there watching
I'm not
YouTube
fighting Mike.
videos of Mike Tyson. Like I'm watching, like he's on. Mike Tyson's going to talk about. We're talking about something in the economy, and Mike was giving his opinion, and I'm there listening. And I'm like, why am I listening to Mike Tyson's opinion or whatever they're talking about? Mike Tyson can only be talking about.
Podcast is hilarious.
And that's what I'm saying though. Like people are listening to Mike be like, yeah, the politics, the state of politics. I'm like, Mike should only be talking about boxing. And depends on like what we're talking about. But again, he has that attraction that I think Ohtani, and again, certain athletes have that, and he is one of those guys that he has that capability of wherever he goes.
Man, brother.
From a baseball standpoint, people are going to.
Sox blood.
Dude, they sell his jersey. They sell his jersey at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
You go to Yankee Stadium store, all Yankees, and then a random jersey, and it's Ohtani. So that's when you know that. So I think the Cubs. I think that they have the capability and the pockets to be able to compete.
And I think it's a perfect storm just because they have the foundation players.
Great,
They need the superstars.
As long as it doesn't talk, the
Greg,
deal
you
is going to
wanna pay for
happen.
tax later.
They can't talk to one person. One thing can't happen. Ohtani cannot talk to the second to last Japanese player that was
You
here.
Darvish?
Do not talk. If you, Darvish, and Ohtani have dinner, the deal is over.
Hey, I hope they have dinner soon.
I'm just saying, though. By the way, why do White Sox fans care if Ohtani goes to the Cubs? You get to go
Why
see
do
him.
we care? We're
Every
already
time the team's on the
miserable.
road, you can go see him.
We're already miserable. Why do we want them to be
No.
happy?
By the way,
No.
the White Sox fans missed the biggest opportunity. It was 88 years. The team did not have a World Series. You beat them in winning the World Series. You got there before they did, and yet you did not claim the throne. There's nothing that you guys will do other than maybe winning 5 World Series in a row that will ever have you guys be
And I
bigger
know,
than the
and I
Cubs.
know Otani and Seiya Suzuki, Cubs' current right fielder, have a relationship too. So
Hopefully he's a selling point.
Yeah.
And again, I think in a situation where Otani's going to go, there's going to be other X factors outside of the money. The funny story is that he thought he was going to the Dodgers. When they said Los Angeles, he didn't know that there was a team named Anaheim. And they said, oh, Mike Trout's on this team. And he's like, well, if Mike Trout's there, this team has to be good. And he didn't realize that he was going to go to the worst team in one of the worst teams in the American League. So I think that this time he's going to do his homework. I think that there will be conversations. But I think that the Cubs have a realistic plan to present to him on being able to come here. I really do.
Ozzie Guillen Jr. joining us for well over it feels like 2 hours at this point, and you have absolutely killed it.
Thank
here
you guys for
tonight.
having me.
And I honestly can't thank you enough. I owe you, honestly, because
Whenever.
it's been a lot of fun having you on. Why don't you give a plug one more time to the Blackout Podcast with your guy Gonzo, and of course Justin has been on.
So the blackout is for any fan, but specifically White Sox fans. But no, so it's just hardcore White Sox, really in-depth analytics with really cool guys that are obsessed with the team, but know a lot about baseball, know a lot about the White Sox, and we try to keep it real. We have a fan of show come join us. Again, we all live in the Twitter atmosphere, so we bring that up constantly, but we try to keep it real. I know a lot of people that watch it, their feelings get hurt. So if your feelings get hurt, get a dog or don't listen. But you're probably gonna hear something you don't want to like, but it is really good.
Ozzie Guillen
Thank you,
Jr.,
guys.
Thank you again for coming on
Thanks,
tonight.
guys.
I really
I'll see you
enjoyed the
soon.
conversation. Great baseball mind right there.
Great.
Looking forward to chopping it up. Hey, Ozzie. Yeah, he's hanging with the fans. We might have to get senior on here at some point. Trae, you want to come over here and say hi? You? Yeah, you. What are you doing over here? Hey, did you go take a picture with us? Go over and go inside. Go inside. Go take a picture with us.
After
You gotta come on. We'll hold it down. My guy Trae, shut up, Ian. My guy Trae.
No. After this Otani to the Cubs talk,
Hurry up,
I'm gonna
go take
need
a
like
picture.
6 more
Run!
minutes. What the heck is
I'm
this?
trying to tell Trae to go take a picture with us. He's been producing when he was supposed to be on the show. Go! What are you doing? Hurry up,
This,
hustle.
Haney's fight is tonight, but one of the preliminaries is me and Greg Braggs.
Yeah, the preliminaries is me and Dre.
We're,
First time meeting my guy Dre, part of the Scumbag crew. Well, when the night's over, me and Dre are gonna fight in the parking lot.
We got to get it on
The
before
smart
the
money smart money's on me. I don't care how tall he is. I'll kick him in his knee to start. But no, it's been cool. Hey, it's cool. Hey, they turned the lights on. They finally turned the lights on. So Dre, man, got to chop it up here a little bit here with Ozzie Guillen Jr., but hadn't gotten a chance to formally introduce you from Bad Guy Radio. Our guy Dre here.
BGR.
BGR all day long. Good friends with a lot of you guys, even though you're crazy. Nobody's perfect. I'm crazy too. So,
Crazy. What?
yeah, they are. They are nuts. But all of them.
Collectively.
And we'd have to rank them. I mean, we ain't got all night. But Dre, you know, the Sox now, they win tonight, or win today. White Sox winner, 11-8 in the month of May. Do you feel like they're turning the corner, or are you not even going to speak on it until they hit 500?
Honestly, I've been on a sabbatical from watching the games. Ian knows. Because I thought that I was the problem. While I was watching.
You are a problem, but are you the
hey,
problem?
Ever since I stopped watching, we've been winning. So I'm just watch highlights, and I'm gonna stick with. Hopefully, these guys turn it around, right, Ian?
Yeah, hopefully. And I'm glad that strategy's working. I'm sorry you can't watch the games.
I know, man.
You know, it's a sacrifice we all got to pay.
Hey, I'm a real fan.
Yeah. I did it last year when they were trying to make a
I remember.
run for the playoffs.
You
I
and
stopped
the
watching.
You and the Leafs did.
And they started winning for a second. I thought it was going to work, but it didn't.
All I can say is that baseball in Chicago right now is at a low period. We're all kind of hurting. But on the south side, we're hurting a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Cubs fans got pretty excited at the start of the year.
Well, I told you. That's why I had to get all my shit talking in early.
Yeah,
Because I was worried
were
about the
smart.
other shoe to drop.
You were smart to do
I wasn't
that.
going to like be humble and not say anything while they were doing good. I had to get my jabs in because now they're falling apart.
It's over now.
I'm not mad
It's
at
not over.
No, it's definitely over.
It's
over.
not over. Look at
It's
this.
over.
Getting
Fourth or
ganged
fifth
up
place,
on
right?
here.
It's over, man.
Yeah.
Might
You
get
deserve
double.
it. You were just
Deserve it.
talking about Otani
Greg-
going to the Cubs
Greg
for
gives
20
us
minutes.
crap.
I wasn't. Ozzie Guillen Jr.
Okay,
was
both of you
talking
were.
about
Every day
Otani
is
And you
Cubs.
sit here grinning
You know.
from ear to ear.
Every day is spaces. This guy right here, he gives the Sox fans terrible time.
Terrible time. Well,
Sports
my guy
is
here, Kyle, he's known me since kindergarten, even before that. So
Hey,
he
Kyle.
knows all too well.
Kyle.
He knows my deepest, darkest.
Does he know
secrets.
Big Red?
I'm going to be talking to you.
He
for a
knows
while
Big
after
Red.
this.
Kyle,
Hey, Kyle,
I
we
told
heard
him about how
about
Big
Big
Red
Red.
whooped my ass. Yeah, he knows Big Red. He
Hey,
knows
we
Big
need
Red.
to get Big Red on the show.
Get Big Red out
Anyone
here.
else,
I'll
hey,
kick
Big
his
Red,
ass
if you're
right now.
watching, we need you on the
Big
show.
Red, if you're watching, come out to Catch Table and Tap. I'm gonna whoop your ass this time. I've had enough of this story. No, me and Kyle took our fair share of licks growing up. We had big mouths. For sure. We couldn't help ourselves. We still can't. So yeah, we're just hanging out here, about to wrap things up here at Catch Table and Tap. Ozzie Guillen finishing up his autograph signings in the back room. See if we can coerce him into like a 10-minute interview. I'll go beg and plead, but we'll see.
That'd
I'm
be
no
sweet.
no pressure on him. I mean, his son giving us 2 hours of some really great baseball
yeah.
talk was
OJ is
was
really good.
top shelf. So
That was cool.
you know, we're just the goofballs up here saying a bunch of nonsense, but then Ozzie Guillen Jr. really stepped the game up. The Blackout Show, you got to check them out every Tuesday night with my guy Gonzo. Me and Gonzo been going at it here
Jay
lately.
Targaryen.
And of course Jay Targaryen, aka Justin Lee, doing his thing on there and Bad Guy Radio, along with Trae and Mac and Asinine and all the other Ian and yeah, you're there. I can't keep track of who's part because he's just like open invitation of whoever's the craziest person to say something.
Well, I just show up.
Well, that'll be between Ian
In the smoke room,
and
right?
Justin, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's
Now I'm catching strays in my YouTube chat when we went live. I
saw Sammy Davis.
Sammy and
Oh,
Sammy
no.
and the other dude
Beer Garden,
in
yeah.
Beer Garden. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell did I do to you guys?
I
Like,
was
you're coming
watching
at me
on the
now.
way
Like,
here.
come
You
on,
associated
man,
with
chill.
us.
On the way here, I was watching.
These streets of Twitter, these two.
You're affiliated.
I
now,
like
Greg.
it. I like it. I like it.
You
I
can't
like
get
it.
away
Hey,
now. It's
hey,
over.
you know what? I got your backs.
You might as well
Even
just
if
be a Sox fan
even-
with
you
us.
know what? That's the
Might
thing
as
that's
well.
disappointing to me with Sammy because I enjoy his handiwork. The photoshops. Yeah, I'm saving them to my phone. He's helping me with my shit talking. We are allies in this, but he's coming at me
He
now.
doesn't
so.
see it that way.
All right.
He's great at making memes. He does that very well.
Yeah. Well, I've been off the handle with mine lately, making enemies that are good friends, like my girl Elise. Which it sounds like
Elise,
she's
I
over
hope
it.
you're watching.
I think
Hi,
she's
if
over
you
it.
Shout
are
out to
watching.
Elise King, Matt.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll just wrap this up here because we've been going for a solid 2-3 hours. I don't know, and probably shut it down. And if we can get Ozzie to come back on, I'll create a new link, go live for like 10 minutes with Ozzie if he's willing to do so. If he's got to run home,
I'm
completely
gonna go talk to him
understand.
real quick.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. No pressure. But you got any last words, Ian?
I mean, that'd be pretty cool to get him on.
Did you just use 2 mics? This dude just used 2
I'm
mics.
worthy of 2 mics, okay?
It's a South
He is
Side
a
trick.
weird
Good job.
dude.
This one sounds way better. I see why Ozzie took this one.
Let's get a South Side pound.
Yeah. Exactly.
Southside
You know, screw the Cubs, screw
calm
their
down,
fans.
calm down. That's not the kind of last words I
I
want.
want to give a shout out to all the Sox.
You're not getting Otani. You're never getting Otani. Read a week.
I told Justin we weren't even going to talk Cubs tonight, and then you guys busted out.
We have a better chance of getting Otani than you.
And a shout out to
Walk away.
To Mama Bragg. Shout out to Mama Bragg.
They are coming back.
That's what I said.
They are coming back.
But it's gonna be when?
It's going to
We'll
start
see.
tomorrow.
We'll see.
It's going to start this series. The Sox will still win 88 plus games.
Oh my God,
Guaranteed.
Ian.
Read a week,
Guaranteed.
Cubs fans.
Guaranteed.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it.
Yes, you know it. Believe it.
I do.
We see it.
It's
okay, all right.
Shout out,
all right.
shout out to King Mac.
You're from
We
the-
are
you're
going to
from the region.
overcome
Shout out to Mac.
adversity.
Outstanding.
Adversity. The Sox have had so much adversity. That
Is that your opinion? Is that everybody's opinion?
it's not everyone.
Yes, just not him, but he's a
Coming
Cubs
back.
fan.
I'm a Cub fan.
But are they coming back?
No,
They're coming
not.
back.
They're dead.
They're roaring back.
He's a closet Sox fan.
They're gonna trade
They're
everyone.
roaring
I'm
back.
sorry.
So that's possible.
Yeah.
Luis Robert Jr. is putting up crazy numbers. He's going to keep going.
Cubs,
Yeah.
I'm fine. You know, I just think that
The pitching is clicking.
Have a better record,
I feel like they are
so I can give my friends
that
some
way.
shit.
You know?
So
Exactly.
I think that about wraps.
Voice an opinion. I'm from Seattle, Washington.
All right, from Seattle,
Shout out to Seattle.
I'm from Illinois.
Illinois. All right,
But you're wearing White Sox stuff, so that's good.
Yeah.
she joined the
I
team.
was
She joined the
raised
team.
as a Chicago White Sox fan,
All right.
There's nothing to root for in Seattle.
but
They suck.
wait, no.
Why you gotta get you just
Football.
Ian's on your ass.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Hold up. All right.
Put some
She's
White
making a
Sox in.
statement.
You gotta say this. I'm not a
All right.
Cubs fan.
Uh-huh.
But the Cubs
Amen.
know how to party.
Cubs know how to party.
That's about all they know
But
how to do.
if you go to the Chicago
Especially when they
White
lose.
Sox baseball game, we're gonna feed you because we all know how
Oh,
to
yeah.
Sox got the better food.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Way
give
They
you
sure
that.
do. You're right.
All
Way
right,
better
that's
food.
enough Sox compliments for the night. Get out of here.
No, not near enough.
All right. Be safe.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So, like I said, I think that wraps things up here for our live show here at Catch Table and Tap. White Sox legend, Chicago legend, Ozzie Guillen signing
Legendary.
autographs, meeting
The
fans
legendary.
here at Catch Table and Tap. Another great event put on by the Collectors Cave. They'll be having Aaron Rowan at Buffalo Wings and Rings here in a month. Make sure you look out for that. Tickets available if you visit www. Did I do too many? www.
I think you did like 4 or 5.
thecollectorscave.com, and you can get your tickets there. Or just come out to Buffalo Wings and Rings and you can hear us chop it up like you heard here tonight. Like I said, there may be another stream here in a few minutes, potentially if we can coerce the man, the myth, the legend, Ozzie Guillen to come out here. But we shall see. So stay tuned for that. If not, we'll see you in a month at the Aaron Rowan signing at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Chicago, Illinois. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. White Sox turning the corner.
Sox run
Look at
breaks in the
look at
stands.
Dre.
Enjoy watching Jokic dominate the Lakers yet again tonight.
All right, those are the
Goodbye,
last.
LeBron.
Goodbye, LeBron. All right, thank you, Ian and Dre, for rapping.